Saints in Grand Blanc, Michigan. First, I want to express my gratitude for all the cross-agency collaboration between our federal, state, and local partners. Their support has been outstanding and critical to this investigation. We are in lockstep with our partners as we continue to work through this. As I mentioned yesterday, the FBI is investigating this as an act of targeted violence, and we are continuing to work to determine a motive. In the past 24 hours, our investigative squads and specialty teams have been out all night, exhausting leads, some of which have been coming in from the public via tips. Our special agents, victim specialists, child advocate forensic interviewers, and local partners have interviewed over 100 victims and witnesses to date and are continuing to interview individuals as we speak. Our Evidence Response Team, or ERT, which is a specialized team of special agents, intelligence analysts, and professional staff, are trained to process crime scenes and collect evidence. They were out all night and continue processing the scene as we speak. Our field office has stood up national equities for support. We are engaging with our Behavioral Analyst Unit, or BAU, and have received support from our Quantico Labs Division to analyze evidence collected to date. We received assistance from our FBI field offices across the country to support this case and follow down leads. While our focus is on this investigation, we want to continue to keep the victims and their families in our thoughts as they navigate through this incredibly difficult time. Please continue to reach out to the FBI via 1-800-CALL-FBI or submit tips at tips.fbi.gov. Thank you. Chief, 800-CALL-FBI.
You prepare in peace to perform in chaos. I saw it live. I saw what you trained for, what you planned for, and the reality hit yesterday morning on a bright sunny day when people went to worship. But what I also saw is every level of government law enforcement work together for the good of the people. What I witnessed was people putting their lives at risk that had 2 months on the job as an EMT, or brand new firefighters, veteran firefighters, and law enforcement, just to bring a sense of stability to a scene that was chaotic and dynamic. As the sheriff of this county, I see the great people every day. But I want this community to know that those ranks and those agencies that were mentioned before me, we worked together. We worked in concert, and we did the job. And there's more to do. I will tell you, the sheriff's office dedicated every county sheriff medic that we had available, patrol, investigators, we did interviews, emergency management, whatever the task was needed. The sheriff's office worked with everybody that you heard and many that you don't know to bring justice and also order to this scene. But I will tell you, the days are continuing. We have 31 marked cars on as we speak, making sure schools that are in session, in churches that are planning Bible studies, regardless of faith base, that they will be protected. Anybody who calls in, we will be there like other law enforcement to settle the community and bring a sense of calmness to people. There is an uncertainty, but law enforcement, especially this sheriff's office, will bring that to you. I will tell you that there are noble heroes who do not wear a uniform that went to that church yesterday. You're going to hear their stories as we lay out this case with law enforcement, but I will tell you this, those heroes from that church did their job. And it was led because of a police department. So law enforcement from this township is led by a chief who demonstrated leadership right out of the gate. And my honor is to announce him as the final speaker, Chief Rennie of Grand Blanc Township.
Thank you, Sheriff. Evil. This was an evil act of violence. That's exactly what this was. And this is not Grand Blanc. This does not define Grand Blanc and who we are. We are a community, and I am confident that together we're going to build a stronger community due to this incident. Now, an update. This left 5 people dead, 8 people injured. As I said, this is an evil act and does not define Grand Blanc or who we are. At this time, what we know is everyone has been accounted for. We still are in the process of clearing out that church, but at this time, everyone is accounted for. We ask that you stay away from the scene. Let us work to clear this call so then we can get back to normal. That's what we all want. Grand Blanc Township police officers, the community of Grand Blanc Township, we're hurting. And we know that you are hurting as well with us. I want to remind you that we had the Family Assistance Center open. They will be open Monday and Tuesday at the Genesis Athletic Club from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. That address is 801 Health Park Boulevard, Grand Blanc, Michigan 48439. Seek service, let's come back together and be stronger together and better. I'll open it up at this time for any questions. Sir.
I have a question. When it comes to the act of violence, can you define why it is considered an act of violence and not something more serious like terrorism?
I will let Agent Coleman speak to that particular question.
Yes, as of right now, we are calling it an act of violence as this is an investigation that is continuing. We are continuing to receive leads. We're continuing to run down all information. And once we're able to ascertain definitively what we have, that's when we'll make those statements. But as of right now, this is an act of violence. Thank you.
Can I follow up on that, please? You called this an act of targeted violence. Can you tell us who you believe the target was? A specific person, the LDS Church, another group?
Well, as of right now, again, as this is an ongoing investigation, what I would say is when I say targeted violence, I mean targeted within our state and within our community. Right now, what we are here for are the families and the victims, and we're going to work diligently in order to make sure we can bring closure for them as well.
When you speak about the motive, there was some chatter that the suspect's ex-girlfriend was a Mormon or something of that nature, chatter online about that. Is that something that you can speak to or any possible motive?
That is something I cannot speak to at this point in time.
We heard that someone was arrested after driving through the barricade near the church. Can you share any information on that, why they were arrested, maybe what their intentions were?
Yes, Chief.
Yes, I could speak on that. Yes, there was an incident out there. We are still in the process of investigating that incident, whether or not it's related or not. I could tell you that we do have a 21-year-old person in custody for that incident right now.
Does the suspect have any prior criminal history or known contact with law enforcement?
Are you talking about the suspect from yesterday or today?
The suspect from yesterday.
The suspect from yesterday has been arrested by law enforcement in the past.
And the 5 dead, does that include the suspect or is that another?
The 5 dead includes the suspect.
Can you give any details on what those prior arrests were?
Burglary and OWI.
What agency? Genesee County?
That I can't give you 100%.
Chief, what do we know?
Terry.
No, so I just want to clarify, no more victims. Do you search the church and?
We have not completed search in the church, but as we know, everyone has been accounted for. That's going to be all the questions that we answered today. If you this is our last press conference. If there's other pertinent information that develops, we will let you guys all know and post that on our social media account, Grand Blanc Township Police Department Facebook page. Thank you.
So he did just say everyone has been accounted for, correct?
Sorry.
Hold on.
I'd just like to note that Dr. Michael Danek, the Medical Chief of Staff from Henry Ford Genesis, will be available for questions after this news conference. He's here on the side of the room. Does anybody need any spelling of names? No?
Would it be possible to just break them up right now?
Sure. Yep.
Can we also confirm right now, are there 8 injured still at the time? So it's 5 that including the shooter, 8. Correct.
Hi, everybody. I'm Lauren Zakalik. I'm the PR director at Henry Ford Health. I'm going to introduce now Dr. Michael Danek, normal spelling for Michael, D-A-N-I-C. He is our medical chief of staff at Henry Ford Genesis Hospital. He's going to make some opening remarks, talk about what happened yesterday. We'll take a few questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me. It was a very sad day for our community. Our law enforcement did amazing, as well as our medical staff throughout the entire Genesee County area. Henry Ford Genesis was prepared and did extremely well. And we also like to thank Hurley and McLaren for taking great care of all the patients. An update on what we've had is we had a total of 8 patients at Henry Ford Genesis from the ages of 6 to 78. 5 were gunshot wounds and 3 were smoke inhalations. 2 of the smoke inhalations have been discharged. 1 is still intubated at this time. For the gunshot wounds, 1 had sustained gunshot wounds, multiple to the chest and abdomen. It's in critical condition. 1 had to the abdomen, as in critical condition still, but mostly stable. 1 of the victims did die in the emergency department. 1 child came in, was stabilized, and then transferred. And then there was another gentleman who had a gunshot on the leg. The trauma team was really well prepared for this. They activated the Mass Casualty Incident Command. Our trauma surgeon, Christopher Ash, was on the team, and John Vance, one of our other trauma surgeons, helped lead the charge. Dr. Sandy Ross was the ER attending at the time and did a phenomenal job of triaging. All of the community members came together. We hate having to prepare for these kind of events, but we are prepared, as well as the other hospitals in our community. We're very grateful to be helping to serve this community, and will continue to do for years to come. So, any questions?
What round struck the victims? You said someone shot in the chest and abdomen. Was this with rifle, 253 round handguns?
I don't have information on the caliber.
How many were under the age of 18?
I don't have that answer either.
What was the age range?
It was 6 to 78.
Of the people found in the church after it was evacuated, do you know anything about the suspected cause of death of those 2 people?
I do not, and I can't extrapolate either.
Can you tell us more about the child that you mentioned? Was that child shot, boy or girl, 6-year-old?
Had an injury to the arm, and out of an abundance of caution was transferred to another hospital.
Was the injury a gunshot wound? Do you know?
I can't verify that.
Dr. Danek was one of the physicians that was treating patients yesterday. If anybody wants to ask him about his experience and just being there.
I will say it was very interesting taking care of our community members in this kind of a traumatic experience. We had a number of our residents who were members of the church and were on site. Not only were they victims, they were also first responders. And having your friends and family come in injured and taking care of them is a really incredible experience. They were heroes. Those on the scene were absolute heroes, going in and out of the fire to drag people out, helping each other take care of the victims on the scene. And the community really came together.
We'll take two more questions. I wanted to ask, have you ever seen anything, even like to this extent in our community, and what was that like for you to respond to?
Never in our community. A lot of us who have trained in the trauma settings have dealt with gunshot wounds, so everyone who's on the staff there has dealt with these types of injuries in the past. It's just strange when it's your community hospital.
Last question. I understand there were some nurses that were on strike and wanted to help, but then were turned away. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, we're very happy that the instinct was to help. And we have a great, loving community, and the instinct was there, but I cannot comment on the work stoppage.
All right, thank you.
Sorry, doctor, just quickly, when you said residents, you meant residents of the community, right?
Resident physicians, those in training.
Okay.
Thank you. All right, thank you.
Okay, so that was an update on the church attack and how the patients are doing. They said they've accounted for everyone now. They've still accounted for everyone. They've accounted for everyone now, and it's 4 dead, 8 injured. Get my headphones on. Sorry. So. I know we're actually here to cover the Trump Netanyahu press conference, but I wanted to show that while we had a chance. I think, if I'm right, he said that, guys, 4 dead plus the shooter. Okay, 4 dead plus the shooter, 5 dead. 4 killed by the shooter and one additional dead. So 4 dead, 8 injured in the attack, and the shooter died as well. I wanted to just double check I think he said there were 2 people in critical condition. I want to check that real quick. Sorry, it was a little hectic here with that on. I had to get that on as well as quickly for you. Let me really quick check that. You know what I want to do really quick? I want to just replay when he was talking about their conditions. If you allow me to do that, let's just take 15 seconds and do that. Hang on, hang on, hang on. Hang on. Moments ago. Okay, this was moments ago.
Thank you very much for having me.
Let me just replay when he talks about the
very
conditions.
sad day for our community. Our law enforcement did amazing, as well as our medical staff throughout prepared for taking great care of all of the patients. An update on our smoke inhalations. 2 of the smoke inhalations have been discharged from the ages of 6 to 78 patients. An update on what we have had is we had a total of 8 patients at Henry Ford Genesis from the ages of 6 to 78. 5 were gunshot wounds and 3 were smoke inhalations. 2 of the smoke inhalations have been discharged. 1 is still intubated at this time. For the gunshot wounds, 1 had sustained gunshot wounds, multiple to the chest and abdomen, it's in critical condition. 1 had to the abdomen, as in critical condition still, but mostly stable. 1 of the victims did die in the emergency department. 1 child came in, was stabilized, and then transferred. And then there was another gentleman who had a gunshot on the leg.
Okay.
The trauma team was...
That's what I wanted to hear again. So thoughts to all of those people injured, and 2 of them are in critical condition. Okay. So, all right. So we saw that. Really quick, I want to shoot you over to something else. And we're waiting for this press conference to begin. Again, and as I said yesterday, condolences to the families who lost people in that horrible attack yesterday, which we covered yesterday. They also said that the suspect has a criminal record. He has burglary and LWI. Is that what it was? LWI? I don't know what LW... Was that what he said? I thought he said burglary and LWI. OWI? Oh. Operating while intoxicated. OWI would make more sense. Maybe it was OWI. Okay, so maybe it was burglary and OWI. Well, I didn't know what LWI was. OWI is operating under the influence. All right, anyways, hey, let's go. I want to show you this. There's a protest outside the White House. Can I show you this? Yes. So let me pull this up on the screen for you guys. While we wait for the press conference, there's a protest outside the White House as Netanyahu visits today. So here is the protest outside the White House. This is live outside the White House right now. I'm gonna stop the music. I can't have the music on, but that is live outside the White House, where Netanyahu is right now. So I want to show you this. And then we should have video soon from the press conference. Well, I don't know if it'll start on time, but I'm hoping to get some video early from the room. As soon as I get video from the room, I will show you. So that is a protest outside the White House going on right now, as you can see. And I do want to thank you for being here. We're going to have... Hold on. We're going to have live coverage of this press conference for you. I also want to thank our moderators who are here. Roberts May Queen is moderating. Ruth Kafasi is moderating. Thank you so much. Beth Mythical over on YouTube. Thank you. And all of our other YouTube moderators. Thanks to our Twitch moderators. People like DeBears, Idaho Star, Matthew Kohai 3. Thank you. And Linda Belk, Larry, Misha moderate for us on X and on Facebook. Thanks to our moderators there. Oops. For Margaret Riley's over there right now. Kay Lowry Body, Shannon Davis Hughes, thank you. And thanks so much to Sean TV. Hey, Sean, I really appreciate your support. Sean TV, thank you. Also, thanks so much to Lord Licorice. Thank you, Lord Licorice. Yeah, we've had a lot of some really horrible occurrences lately. We had that shooting, I mean, obviously yesterday, and then two nights ago was the terrible shooting in Southport, North Carolina, and then a few days ago was the horrible attack on the ICE facility in Texas. It's been crazy. All right, hold on a moment here. Thank you to Prep Mom PA. Prep Mom PA, thank you, Prep Mom 5 PA. Okay. All right, I want to, and also Marnie. Marnie, okay, so where are we here? All right, so I'm waiting to get the video from the room. And as soon as I have the video from the press conference room, I will throw that up there for you. Let me do something real quick here. In the meantime, let's talk about Netanyahu's visit to the White House today. President Trump has been saying recently he hopes there will be some deal to end the war in Gaza. You can see this headline right here from AP. Trump and Netanyahu meet at the White House as pressure mounts to end the war in Gaza. AP says President Trump was hosting Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu today for critical talks at ending the war in Gaza and developing a U.S. plan on post-war governance in the war-battered Palestinian territory. President Trump, he says he thinks a deal to end the war in Gaza and bring peace to the Middle East to bring peace to Gaza is close. Is that true? I don't know. AP says the White House talks come at a tenuous moment. Israel is increasingly isolated, losing support from many countries that were long its steadfast allies. At home, Netanyahu's governing coalition appears more fragile than ever, and the White House is showing signs of impatience. The question is now whether Trump, who has offered steadfast backing to Netanyahu throughout the war, will change his tone and turn up the pressure on Israel to wind down the conflict. As he welcomed Netanyahu to the White House, Trump responded affirmatively when asked by reporters whether he was confident a deal would soon be reached to end the fighting between Israel and Hamas. I'm very confident, Trump said. We might even have video. I might be able to show you video of when Netanyahu arrived at the White House. If you give me a second, let me pull this up here. As you're seeing a live shot in front of the White House right now. Hang on a moment. Let me just find this here. All right, I'm getting this video for you of earlier today when Netanyahu showed up at the White House. And soon we will have the press conference. Hey, thank you so much to MJ. That's really nice of you, MJ. Thanks for your support of the channel, MJ. Also, Guy from the 207. Thanks for your support on Twitch. So I am getting that video from today, and we're waiting for the press conference video. As soon as I have that, I'll put it on the screen. And Okay, I want to take some comments from you guys. So, oh, why don't we do a little poll? You guys like polls. You guys like polls. Will there be a Gaza peace deal soon? How's that? How about Gaza peace deal in the next month? Will there be a Gaza peace deal in the next month? That's my poll question. And then I'll show you what you guys said. I got to post it in the different platforms. Yes. No, I'm going to try it on Facebook, even though the polls for Facebook have not been working. I actually just recently messaged Facebook yet again and said, can you please fix the polls so I can see people's responses, which I currently cannot. Won't let me see how you're voting. Yeah, it's still not working. Still not working on Facebook. Okay, I said to you guys, I said, will there be a peace deal in Gaza? Will there be a Gaza peace deal? Oh, I'm sorry, we can change the headline now. Coming up soon, it's supposed to be at 1:15 Eastern time. I don't know if it's going to be at 1:15 Eastern time. Coming up, Trump Netanyahu press conference. Okay, there it is. Okay, I said to you guys, as we look at this protest going on, I said, will there be a peace deal in the next month? On YouTube, here is the response on YouTube from our viewers. Our viewers say 80% say no. 20% say yes. Once again, I can't see it on Facebook. Once again. On Twitch, oopsie. On Twitch, I'll tell you in a second. On Twitch, here's the vote on Twitch. The vote on Twitch, look at this. 91% on Twitch say no. 81% on YouTube say no. 91% on Twitch say no. The viewers are skeptical that there will be a peace deal anytime soon. Terrified thinks as long as Netanyahu remains in power, there will be no peace deal. That's what our viewer Terrified said. Terrified also said, I also don't believe if as long as Hamas is in the game, there can be a peace deal. As long as Hamas is in the game. Thomas Grassi says there will never be peace in the region. They have been fighting since the beginning of time. Well, to be fair, the question was not, there could be a peace deal, and then it could, fighting could stop for 3 months or something like that. So those are two different questions. Whether there will be a peace deal and whether fighting will stop permanently in the region or for some very long extended period of time. All right, well, our viewers that from our polls do not think generally speaking, there's going to be a peace deal. Look at that. All right, thanks for voting. Thanks for voting in our poll. I should be getting some point soon. Oh, I got the video. Hold on. I got the video from the room. I have the video from the room. I'm going to put it up for you right now, the video from the room. Here we go. Get ready. Video from the room on the way. Video from the White House on the way. Coming up now. As soon as I can just get it. It takes me a second to get it on the screen here. Coming up now. Get ready, everyone. We're about to see video from the room in the White House. takes a second. Now. That's not it yet. Still waiting. I got it now. I got it now. I'm getting it on the screen for you. Breaking news. Here is the White House right now. What's the sound like? Oh my gosh. There it is. There it is. Guys, look at this. Wow. Look at this. Thank you, Duck Vision. Duck Vision, I don't think that's it, but thank you. A quick thank you also to Anthony. Thank you so much to Anthony. Also thank you to Eric Bush, who thinks if there's a peace deal, it will fall through quickly, and it always does. He says, remember there was a peace deal on January 17th and it didn't stick. Thank you, Marnie, for the gift memberships. Thanks also to Sydney for the memberships. Thank you, Sydney. And Rascally Rabbit, our member. Our viewer Starship says the war ends when Hamas surrenders. The sound is, we'll have better sound when it actually starts, guys.
So I'm just going to turn them off on the board per thing, and when they say questions, I'm going to turn them back on the board.
Yep.
All the mics will be hot.
Yep. That's fine. Yeah, that works. Okay. And then you'll turn off the ones that's not being used at that time.
Sorry, they what happened is the camera itself, they've turned off the volume on the camera. I think they just don't want to pick up people's live conversations there as we're waiting. So I cannot. At this point, the volume just is off. But it'll be on for the press conference. Let me read some more comments here from you guys. Our viewer, Hot Rodacy, our viewer says, it seems like one of Netanyahu's strategies is to give false hope for peace, only so Israel cranks up the intensity and squeezes out as much violence as they can before then. That's what Hot Rodacy, our viewer, said. Jay Lands, our viewer, says, hey, it's Peter Ducey of Fox. Jay Lands says, it's too late for a deal. So many people have died. Our viewer Nexus Seeding DK says, why all the hate on Netanyahu? He is just protecting his people. AP says Trump is growing more frustrated with the conflict in Gaza. AP says Trump joined forces with Netanyahu during Israel's brief war with Iran in June, ordering U.S. stealth bombers to strike 3 nuclear sites. And he has supported Netanyahu during his corruption trial, describing the case as a witch hunt. But the relationship has become more tense lately. Trump was frustrated by Israel's failed strike this month on Hamas officials in Qatar, a U.S. ally in the region that had been hosting negotiations to end the war in Gaza. Recent comments have hinted at growing impatience from Washington. Last week, Trump vowed to prevent Israel from annexing the West Bank, an idea promoted by some of Netanyahu's hardline governing partners. The international community opposes Israeli annexation, saying it would destroy hopes for a two-state solution. On Friday, Trump raised the expectations for the meeting today with Netanyahu, telling reporters that the U.S. was very close to a deal on Gaza. Trump said that Friday. Trump made finding quick ends to the Gaza war as well as Russia's invasion of Ukraine a central plank of his successful 2024 presidential campaign. AP says Trump's proposal to stop the war in Gaza calls for an immediate ceasefire, the release of all hostages within 48 hours, and a gradual withdrawal of Israeli forces from the Palestinian enclave, according to 3 Arab officials briefed on the plan, says AP. Hamas is believed to be holding 48 hostages, 20 of whom are believed by Israel to be alive. Hamas has demanded Israel agree to end the war and withdraw from all of Gaza as part of any permanent ceasefire. Trump discussed this plan with Arab and Islamic leaders in New York on the sidelines of the recent UN General Assembly. The plan does not include the expulsion of Palestinians from Gaza, which Trump appeared to endorse earlier this year. The 21-point proposal also calls for an end to Hamas rule of Gaza and the disarmament of the militant group, said the officials briefed on the plan. Hundreds of Palestinians, including many serving life sentences, will be released by Israel according to the proposal. The American plan also includes the establishment of an international security force to take over law enforcement in post-war Gaza. The Trump plan also reportedly says that a Palestinian committee of technocrats would oversee the civilian affairs of the Gaza Strip, with power handed over later to a reformed Palestinian Authority. Netanyahu has rejected any role for the Palestinian Authority, which is the internationally recognized representative of the Palestinians. But Netanyahu does not want them to have a role in post-war Gaza. You're looking at a live shot from the White House. We are waiting for this press conference with President Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu. I missed this. President Trump 4 hours ago said, I will be imposing substantial tariffs on any country that does not make its furniture in the United States. Details to follow. But President Trump has said in recent days, for example, yesterday, President Trump wrote on Truth Social, we have a real chance for greatness in the Middle East. Here, let me show you what Trump posted on Truth Social yesterday. This is yesterday from President Trump on Truth Social. We have a real chance for greatness in the Middle East. All are on board for something special. First time ever. We will get it done. President DJT. We are waiting for the live press conference. Now, the White House stream is not live yet. So, we still have a couple minutes before this starts. I'm hearing volume now. We got some room volume. I like that. I like when we get the volume
Check
from
one,
the room.
Two, check 1 2. Yeah, you can give me more in the room. Check 1
Mic
2.
check.
Hey, hey. Audio check 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. Check 1 2. Check 1 2. Audio check 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10.
I like that.
1 2. Hey hey. Check 1 2. Hey hey. Last audio check for press. Check 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. Check 1 2. Hey hey. Check 1 2. Hey hey. 1 2 3 4. Have you given me more? Check 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. Yeah, please. Check 1 2. Hey hey. Check 1 2. Hey hey. Check 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. Let me know when you can pull back some.
Thank you, Marnie, by the way,
So
for the
wherever
gift
you're at right now,
membership.
that's-
Thank
that's
you,
all you
Marnie.
Check 1 2. Check 1 2. Check 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. Audio check. Does anyone else in the room needs audio checks? Anyone else? You guys are good on audio? All right.
Thanks to Temi Dank for the gift memberships and Sean, our member. You know, earlier we saw Peter Ducey from
Check 1 2.
Fox
Hey, hey.
News. Oh, hold on.
Check 1 2 3 4 5 6. Check 1 2. Hey hey. Audio check 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. Audio check 1 2 3 4 5 6. Audio check 1 2 3 4 5 6. Audio check 1 2 3 4 5 6. Audio 1 2 1 2 1 2. Hey hey. Audio check 1 2 1 2. All right. Check 1 2. Last audio check. Check 1 2 3 4 5 6. 1 2 3 4 5 6. 1 2 3 4 5 6. Yep. Okay.
Thanks to Cecilia from Norway. Thanks, Cecilia and
1 2.
Veronica.
Hey, hey. Audio check 1 2. Hey hey. Audio check 1 2. Hey hey. Check 1 2. Audio check from POTUS Podium. Audio check 1 2 3 4 5 6. Check 1 2 3 4 5 6. 1 2. Let me know when you're good to go.
Full
1
mic
2.
check
Hey hey.
coverage
Audio
here
check 1 2.
on
Hey hey.
Agenda Free TV.
Check 1 2. Hey hey. Audio check 1 2 3 4 5 6. Check 1 2 1 2 1 2.
Thanks, Veronica, our new member. Maybe they'll check
Okay.
the other podium too.
Check 1 2.
Thanks, Sean, for the gift membership. Thank you, Sean.
Check 1 2. Hey hey. Audio check 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. Check 1 2. Check 1 2 1 2. Hey 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 hey. Yeah, that sounds good.
It's going to be a full house today, according to the White House press conference. According to the White House press pool, Vice President Vance is supposed to be there, Secretary Rubio, Secretary Hegseth, Susie Wiles, Ambassador Steve Witkoff, General Kane, and Jared Kushner. Thanks to Kevin Helkvist for being a member. Thanks Koa Goose for subscribing. Thanks Rain25 for subscribing on Twitch. Shout out to all of our mods again. Really appreciate you being here. People like Roberts May Queen. Thank you, Roberts May Queen, for being here modding. Ruth Krafasi, thank you. On YouTube. Over on Twitch, DeBears, Idaho Star. I Got That Fire, Matthew Kohai 3, Papa Bear, thank you. Thanks Harper Ann for being a member. Thanks Mego West for your support. Mego West says, do you believe anything will come out of this of substance? I have no idea. Why is just gotta check something here. Just gotta check something here. Now it's working. Thanks to Margaret Riley, Kay Lowry Body, Shannon Davis Hughes moderating on Facebook, and Linda Belk, Larry, and Misha on X. So President Trump and Prime Minister Netanyahu have been meeting today. President Trump would like there to be a peace deal on Gaza. What will we hear about their meeting? Thank you, Winding Road, for being a member. What are we going to hear about their meeting? Trying to read some comments from you guys here. I also should check the news just to make sure I'm not missing any of their big updates here. There's a lot going on. Barak Ravid reports that Prime Minister Netanyahu spoke with the Prime Minister of Qatar and apologized for the harm to Qatar's sovereignty in the Israeli strike on Doha. The conversation took place during the meeting today with President Trump. So Barak Ravid is reporting that during the meeting between President Trump and Prime Minister Netanyahu, Prime Minister Netanyahu called the Prime Minister of Qatar and apologized for that Israeli strike. What was that, a week or two ago, when Israel tried to kill Hamas officials in Qatar? And that was the first time Israel had ever struck in Qatar, I believe. There was this, I would call it an unwritten agreement among various countries that Hamas officials would be safe in Qatar because Qatar tries to be a broker between other countries. And then Israel just struck U.S. ally Qatar to try to kill those Hamas officials, which was a failed attack. Anyways, I read you, AP said, in that AP report I was just reading, you had said that President Trump was frustrated by that strike, by Israel's strike on U.S. ally, on Hamas officials in U.S. ally Qatar. Our viewer, Space Cowboy thinks Trump got Bibi to apologize. Bibi didn't do it himself. I don't know if one of our viewers said Qatar didn't have an answer. I don't know what Qatar said to that. When do I think it's going to get started? Any moment, but I can't tell you. I mean, it'll get started when they come out, basically. So that I mean, you can see we don't have the officials sitting in the front seat. Right before it starts, the officials will come out, like Secretary of State Rubio, I assume, and sit in the front seat there. But that could happen at any moment. We covered one of these, I don't know if it was the last one they did. We covered one of these a few months ago when President Trump it was a huge surprise. All of a sudden he announced during the press conference that the U.S. was going to take over Gaza. Now that doesn't seem to be the U.S. current plan, the Trump current plan. But that happened, I remember a few months ago, covering a news conference in the White House with them too when that happened. So will there be any Trump surprises today? Our viewer, Matthew Abercrombie, says, hopefully the meeting bears fruit. Scott Brenner, our viewer, thinks it's up to Hamas now. Hey, thanks to Walking Roscoe in Germany. And thank you, Walking Roscoe, for your service. Walking Roscoe, thank you. There is someone in the back adjusting something. Someone in the back, two people in the back are adjusting something in the back. Something is being adjusted in the back of the room. They appear to be done adjusting. Thanks, Based Glorp, for subscribing on Twitch. Thanks, Hefty Charter, for subscribing on Twitch. Reuters is also reporting today, like Barak Ravid, that Prime Minister Netanyahu, during his meeting at the White House with Trump today, apologized to Qatar for Israel's attack in Doha earlier this month. Hey, thanks to Keurig K Cup, for being a member. Our viewer, Amanda McCabe, says, glad he apologized. Oh, AZ Intel's dad, that is so kind of you. Thank you, AZ Intel's dad. Dad of AZ Intel, who I follow on X. Thank you so much. It's very kind of you. Thank you also, Flumpingtons on Twitch and Mapple Katsiu. Mapple says, wonder if they'll take questions. Oh, they will be taking questions today. That is the purpose of this, is to take questions. Sean Howard, our viewer, thinks Bibi should not have apologized to Qatar unless Qatar apologized for harboring billionaire terrorists. Kidru says apology doesn't even come close to covering for dropping bombs. Thank you, Purple Haze, our new member. Quake Clouds for the gift sub on Twitch. Our viewer Michael Anthony says, breaking news, nothing will change. Reuters says President Trump hosted Prime Minister Netanyahu for pivotal talks today to press Netanyahu to back a Gaza peace proposal aimed at ending a nearly 2-year-old war that has seen Israel face growing international isolation. This is Netanyahu's 4th visit since Trump returned to office in January. Netanyahu is looking to shore up his country's most important relationship after a slew of Western leaders formally embraced Palestinian statehood last week in defiance of the U.S. and Israel. Trump is seeking Netanyahu's agreement on a framework to end the war in the Palestinian territory of Gaza and to free the remaining hostages held by Hamas. Reuters says it marked a stepped-up diplomatic effort by a president who vowed during the 2024 presidential campaign to quickly bring the Gaza conflict to a close and has repeatedly since claimed a deal was near, only for it to fail to materialize. Thanks, Melanie York, our member. Thank you. Thank you also, Rick Clark, our member. Thank you, Rick. Thanks, Veronica, for the gift memberships. And Dak, 22, our member. And Ang Kamarand on Twitch, thank you. And Egon, Show, Locky, and Wow for subscribing on Twitch. Still do not see, I expect right before it starts we'll have the officials come and take the front row of seats. I see some people walking in. That's 2 people. We need more people than that. We need more people than that. We need to see like Rubio and Vice President Vance. Thanks, Julia Hummer, for being a member. J.R. Maddox says, what about the settlements? That could be discussed in the press conference. Remember, a few days ago, President Trump said that Israel was not going to annex the West Bank. Last week, says AP, Trump vowed to prevent Israel from annexing the West Bank, an idea promoted by some of Netanyahu's hardline governing partners. Thanks, Fred Witherow, for your support. Thanks, Fred. Paprika Pauline says, always a surprise with Trump. So we are waiting for this to start. I'm checking for other updates here. We're reading your comments on the air. Oh, Amakai Stein with Jerusalem Post reports that Netanyahu not only apologized to Qatar today, but committed to not attack Qatar again. Maybe this is during the visit to the White House, I guess. Maybe this is something President Trump wanted him to do. Thanks, David Potter from the UK, for your support. Ane, our viewer, says, I don't think any fruitful discussions will happen in these dialogues and pressers. Thank you, C. Johnson. C. Johnson says, been watching the Middle East since the early 1970s. Peace deal means nothing. Too many players with no desire to end the chaos. The camera is zooming in and out. The camera is zooming in and out. The Washington Post says that Trump and Netanyahu were meeting today as the U.S. leader pushes a 21-point plan to halt the bitter war in Gaza amid deep questions about whether the battling sides were truly ready to agree to a truce. Thanks to Clear Mind Politics, our member. We did a poll earlier in the stream, and I think 81% of the YouTube viewers said there will not be a peace deal in the next month, and 91% of the Twitch viewers who voted said there will not be a peace deal in the next month. Our viewers are skeptical. Josine, our viewer, says we need good news today. The official start time for this was 1:15 p.m. It is now 1:43. I have a readout of Trump's call. I have an official readout of the call between Trump, the Prime Minister of Israel, and the Prime Minister of Qatar from the White House. They just sent out a readout. Let me see if I can throw that on the screen. Hold on a second here. Give me a moment. Give me a moment. I want to put this on the screen for you. Okay, now. All right, here is the readout of the call that happened today. This is what the White House says about that call. It's small, but I'll make it a little bigger. I don't want to take up the whole screen. Put it there. It says, readout of President Trump's call with Prime Minister Netanyahu of Israel, who was there, and the Prime Minister of Qatar. Today, President Trump, let me turn this down a little bit so I can read this to you. The White House says, today President Trump hosted a trilateral phone call with Prime Minister Netanyahu and the Prime Minister of Qatar. President Trump expressed his desire to put Israel-Qatar relations on a positive track after a year of mutual grievances and miscommunications. The leaders accepted President Trump's proposal to establish a trilateral mechanism to enhance coordination, improve communication, resolve mutual grievances, and strengthen collective efforts to prevent threats. They underscored their shared commitment to working together constructively in clearing away misperceptions while building on the long-standing ties both have with the United States. As a first step, Prime Minister Netanyahu expressed his deep regret that Israel's missile strike against Hamas targets in Qatar unintentionally killed a Qatari serviceman. He further expressed that regret that, in targeting Hamas leadership during hostage negotiations, Israel violated Qatari sovereignty and affirmed that Israel will not conduct such an attack again in the future. Prime Minister of Qatar Al Thani welcomed these assurances, emphasizing Qatar's readiness to continue contributing meaningfully to regional security and stability. Prime Minister Netanyahu expressed commitment to the same. The leaders discussed a proposal for ending the war in Gaza, prospects for a more secure Middle East, and the need for greater understanding between their countries. President Trump praised both leaders for their willingness to take steps toward greater cooperation in the interest of peace and security for all. That is the White House readout of the call today between President Trump and Prime Minister of Israel, who is visiting President Trump, and the Prime Minister of Qatar, Prime Minister Al Thani of Qatar. They just sent that out right now, a few minutes ago. We are waiting. Any moment now, they are expected to walk out. The press conference is now 33 minutes late, but these things happen. I just saw something here also. Hurdle, our viewer, says White House pressers are often late. So, I guess there was some, hold on, let me just check one thing here. Need to check something real quick. Here as we wait for this to start. The IDF just posted, the Israeli Defense Force just posted, speaking of Israel, a medical officer of Israel, an armor officer, and 3 armor fighters from the 82nd Battalion were seriously wounded earlier today in a battle in the northern Gaza Strip. The officers and fighters were evacuated to receive medical treatment at the hospital. Their families have been updated. So 5 Israeli soldiers seriously wounded today in a battle in the northern Gaza Strip. That just came out 2 minutes ago from the Israeli Defense Force, showing how that fighting is still going on in Gaza almost 2 years into the war. People are waiting for this press conference. A quick thank you to Harry Sound. Thank you, Harry Sound from the UK, and also Walking Roscoe. And Music, But Music, thank you. Clear Mind Politics. David Potter. David says, stay strong, BB. Thanks also Pineapple on Twitch. What will they say today? Will they say that they're close to a deal? The world looking for signs today of how close a peace deal might be for Gaza. Thank you, Survivor, our member. The Washington Post says that Trump, who came to office vowing to end the fighting, has renewed efforts in recent weeks to reach a peace deal. They say Trump is growing increasingly frustrated by Netanyahu's handling of the war. The latest vision of Trump's peace deal proposal has attracted qualified support from Arab neighbors, but it lacks key details that could derail the peace bid. Hamas has not yet weighed in on the proposal, and Netanyahu has not yet signed off on the proposal, says the Washington Post. They also say, the Post, Netanyahu's visit today to the Oval Office was set to be an unusually extended encounter, including a rare formal joint news conference that suggested the White House was preparing for an announcement about the status of the plan. Beam me up. I don't know if we will cover the we might cover the Tyler Robinson trial. It's possible, so I'll have to look into it. Thanks for mentioning it, though. All right, we have the room. People are in the press is in the room waiting. We're waiting for the officials to come in and sit down, and Trump and Netanyahu to take their positions. Pat Rivers says, if Jared is there, this will include a real estate deal. Supposedly, Jared Kushner is going to be at this press conference. Nobody has come in and shouted like 2-minute warning or anything. I showed you a bit of the protest outside before. It's not that big right now, but the thing is, the way this video is, I can't show this and the protest video because it's coming from the same source. But I am peeking at the protest video. Looks like maybe a couple dozen protesters in front of the White House. We showed that before. But I don't have a version I can just throw on the screen right now. Hey, thanks to the world-famous Lily Pichu. I don't think it's really the world-famous Lily Pichu, but I still appreciate it, the world-famous Lily Pichu. Thank you. Thanks also, Martin Gingrich. Martin, we already did a poll on the peace deal. You missed it. The vast majority of viewers said there will not be a peace deal in the next month. Thank you, Martin Gingrich. I appreciate that. Thanks A to Z for the memberships. Thanks Survivor for being a member. It is 1:55 p.m. We are now 40 minutes after the official start time of this press conference. Maybe there's some big development they're working on. Hey, thanks, Marnie, for the gift membership. Vanessa Lacey says, I am hoping for a peace deal. Vigilant, our viewer, says, whether there's a peace deal or not, there will be no peace. The Washington Post says Netanyahu spent parts of yesterday in meetings with U.S. officials, including Trump envoy Steve Witkoff and Trump's son-in-law Jared Kushner, hashing out terms of the plan. While the White House has given a hopeful read of the proposal's prospects, Netanyahu has been more reticent, hesitant, quiet about it. Netanyahu told Fox News yesterday his team was reviewing Trump's peace plan, but he didn't say whether he would agree to it. Netanyahu told Fox the U.S. and any self-respecting country does not give a pass to terrorists, referencing a proposal to end Israeli strikes on Hamas targets in Qatar. However, according to the White House, Netanyahu did call the Prime Minister of Qatar today with Trump and apologize for the Israeli strikes in Qatar on Hamas officials earlier this month, and said Israel will not conduct such an attack again. The 21-point Trump plan, says the Washington Post, which was crafted with heavy input from former British Prime Minister Tony Blair, would hold the door open to an eventual Palestinian state. It would begin with the immediate cessation of military operations. It would freeze battle lines in place, and it would require Hamas to release all 20 living hostages and the remains of more than 24 believed dead within 48 hours. I mean, I have a hard time believing that Hamas is going to agree to release all the hostages in 48 hours. Because that's like their big leverage. I mean, if the idea is that Hamas is going to release all the hostages in 48 hours in exchange for, Israel backing off Hamas in the future, I don't know if Hamas is going to do that. It seems like common sense to think that Hamas might not trust Israel to back off after releasing the hostages. So I would be pretty shocked if Hamas agreed to release all the hostages in 48 hours. Whatever you think of Hamas and Israel, I would just be shocked if Hamas agreed to that. I mean, I think it'd be great. I'd love to see the hostages go home. But, you know. According to this proposal also, the Trump proposal, all of Hamas's offensive weaponry would be destroyed. Also, according to the proposal, reportedly, those Hamas militants who commit to peaceful coexistence would be offered amnesty. Hamas members who choose to leave would be granted safe passage to other countries. Sister Golden here thinks it's not going to happen. Sydney says, who can trust Hamas? The party fairy says not going to work. It is 2 o'clock. We are 45 minutes after the official start time of this press conference. We are waiting for Trump and Netanyahu to give their press conference.
הייתה שיחה טלפונית של טראמפ, נתניהו וראש ממשלת קטאר, אתם יכולים לראות את זה עכשיו על המסך. ועכשיו אני יכול להעביר לך את הציטוטים, את הדברים שאמר נתניהו לקטארי, אלו הציטוטים. אדוני ראש הממשלה, אני יודע שאתה, אדוני ראש הממשלה, אני רוצה שתדע שישראל מתחרטת על התקיפה של אחד מהאזרחים שנהרג.
Thanks, Cecilia from Norway. Cecilia thinks Hamas is just as trustworthy as the IDF. Oh, as one of our viewers just pointed out, Green Ghost, the White House website just went live, so that's something. Now what I need to do is prepare, because I might end up switching to the White House feed when it actually... Yeah, there's the White House feed. So we have both feeds. So when this starts, I may end up switching the feed because sometimes the White House has a better feed. This one is the AFP feed. Thanks, Jiggle Jess, for your support. Yeah, so I was waiting for the White House to go live. Once we see the officials come in and sit down in those front couple rows, I think we'll know that we're about to start. The officials that are supposedly going to be there include people like Vice President Vance, Secretary Rubio, Secretary Hegseth, Chief of Staff Susie Wiles, Ambassador Witkoff, General Kane, Jared Kushner. They're all supposed to be there, guys. Oh, I see people coming in. I see some people coming in and sitting down in the front. I see officials coming in. Maybe we're close to starting. Maybe. Or are they sitting down? I don't know if they're sitting down. Look at this. The camera has panned over to the door. Things might be happening here. Just a couple came in. People want to see what Trump and Netanyahu have to say. It is currently 49 minutes after the official start time. It was supposed to start at 1:15 Eastern Time. Hey, it's Barack Ravid, well-known He's a good reporter, too. Barak Ravid. He is with Axios, I know. I think he does work for other outlets. There he is right there. I'm guessing he might ask a question. Hey, thanks to Safet Utik. Safet Utik, our viewer, says Bibi came to take our tax money to continue genocide. Wow. That's what our viewer said. Kaiser Soso says Trump is going to sell Bibi more weapons. That's what our viewer Kaiser said. Scotty thinks the press conference will start at 2:15. We'll have to see. Jonah Katz says Netanyahu's account went live, so it should be any time now. Ka'a thinks Trump and Netanyahu are working together, playing a good cop, bad cop routine. All right, hold on. Hold on a moment. Thank you, Jiggle Jess. I appreciate it. Waiting to see people come in the door. Reuters says 2 foreign diplomats in the Middle East said Trump's 21-point plan was less a detailed blueprint and more a set of broad objectives. Israel had objected to several elements and was seeking revisions in its discussion with the White House, they said, adding that Arab states were also seeking some amendments.
Tuesday. They said Thursday. The next 2 days later, they want you to be there Tuesday. It was like the next day or the day after that. We'd like the president would like to meet you. And I'm on trip at 11 o'clock on Thursday. I said, my university is so much better joke. I said, no, I can't do it. We have to pull it one out here to work, right? And they said, no, this is really the White House. It was 2 o'clock, so 2 o'clock.
All right.
So I said, we got the Pope at 3, we can't. And they say it again. I said, well, we got the Dalai Lama at 1. We got the Pope at 3. We're not able to fit him in. He goes, would you like to call back? And people don't believe it. And I look at my phone, and the phone only says 202. No, it has no, I think at 202. So I said, I understood, I got it, and then we were in the Oval Office 2 days later.
One of our viewers said, any big announcements today? I have no idea. I do not know. We'll have to see. Thanks, Vincent Hawkinson, who says, is today going to yield good news rather than bad news like the last few weeks? Thanks, Vincent. Thanks again to all of our moderators who are in our chats. Beth Mythical is moderating. Thank you, Beth. Over there on YouTube. Hey, thanks, Shaft, for the gift memberships. Thank you, Shaft. Thanks, Idaho Star. I got that fire. Matthew Kohai 3 and Papa Bear on Twitch for moderating. Thank you. Thanks to Paul Anderson, Kay Lowry Body, Margaret Riley, Shannon Davis Hughes for moderating on Facebook, Linda Bell, Larry, Misha on X. Really appreciate all of our moderators. It is 2:09 p.m. It is now 54 minutes late.
That means he never met a right reporter.
There is Barak Ravid, I think, right in front of us. Oh, they said shush. Why did they shush? Why did they shush? Looks like something's happening. Everybody shushed. Breaking news, everybody shushed. I think it's really about to start, guys. Really. For real. Now again, when it starts, I might have to switch the camera to get you the best feed. So you might for a second or two hear double audio because I might want to switch to the other feed. So just so you know, everything's under control because I have 2 feeds, but I may need to switch to the other one. Trying to get you the best one. Master Blaster says, let's go. They all shushed, and they sat down. Now people are starting to talk a little more. Now people are starting to talk a little more. May 8 says, what is the holdup? Shell says, fingers crossed, good news. Hey, thanks, Scruffy Huffy. That's so kind of you. Scruffy Huffy just gave 50 people memberships in YouTube. Make sure you thank Scruffy Huffy if you got a membership. And anybody else who gives you a membership or a gift sub. Thank you, Scruffy Huffy. That's Scruffy Huffy. Very kind of you. Thanks also Joseph Caffell for the gift memberships. Thank you, Joseph. Guys, we're waiting. About 5 minutes ago, everybody shushed and sat down. And then nothing. Thanks to Hurricane Ben. And S Stern 42 on Twitch. The White House, I'm not going to have time to read it. The White House just sent out a press release that says President Trump's comprehensive plan to end the Gaza conflict, for whatever that's worth. They sent out a 21 points, I think. I don't even have time to show it to you. Maybe we can talk about it after, but they literally just sent it out. I just got it in my inbox. I think it's 20 points. Yeah, they just sent it out right now. They just posted it on social media. Trump's plan. I'll post a link to the post. I mean, it's long. I'm not going to have time to go through it right now. I don't think I'll have the time. So the White House, literally right before the press conference, they just posted on social media Trump's comprehensive plan to end the Gaza conflict. It's 20 points long. It says no one will be forced to leave Gaza. We will encourage people to stay. Now that's very different than months ago when Trump said that the plan was to have people, I mean, if I remember right, when we covered that press conference, he said the U.S. was going to take over Gaza. And that wasn't the original plan for people to leave, if I remember right? Because this says we will encourage people to stay.
Okay, thank you.
It's very interesting timing that the White House just released this right before the press conference was going to start. Hang on one second here.
Okay, here's the trivia.
I'm going to see if I have another link I can post with it for you guys. I'll post the link again to it if you guys want to see it. I'm going to skim it over too. But here is the link again to Trump's proposal for Gaza peace, which the White House just released. Thanks, channeling Gary. Channeling Gary thinks that Palestine has lost 60,000 people in 2 years thanks to Bibi. That's what Channeling Gary said. Thanks, Hurricane Ben. It is now 1 hour after the official start time. 1 hour. While we're waiting for this to start, I will tell you some of the 20-point peace plan that the White House just released right now from President Trump's comprehensive plan to end the Gaza conflict. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I'll read you some of it. Thank you, by the way, Qualquer Coisa Serbe from Peru, I think? I mean, not Peru, Brazil, from Brazil. Thank you, Qualquer. So number 2 on the peace proposal is Gaza will be redeveloped for the benefit of the people of Gaza. This is quite a change in tone from months ago from the White House and President Trump. Number 2 part of the peace plan is Gaza will be redeveloped for the benefit of the people of Gaza who have suffered more than enough. Also, the number 1 point is Gaza will be a de-radicalized, terror-free zone that does not pose a threat to its neighbors. Hey, a person just came out. Oh, did I miss other people coming out? I might have missed other people coming out. I think we're actually hearing Caitlin Collins of CNN do a live hit because it sounds like her, and I have a bunch of channels I'm looking at, and she is on CNN right now, so you're hearing her.
Right.
Hang on a moment here. I'm going to read you some other parts of this just released White House Donald Trump comprehensive plan to end the Gaza conflict. Some of the other things it says is, if both sides agree to this proposal, the war will immediately end. Israeli forces will withdraw to the agreed-upon line to prepare for a hostage release. All military operations will be suspended. Within 72 hours of Israel publicly accepting the agreement, all hostages, alive and dead, will be returned. Again, just released right before the press conference. There had been reporting about what was in President Trump's plan, but the White House just released it. I don't even know if it's on their website yet. They emailed it out. I don't see it on their website. Matthew Felty says, This plan isn't surprising everyone, just the first White House public release. I heard about it from Fetterman talking on Fox News about it. I don't know. It's possible that that they have released it privately to different members of Congress and such, certainly. Thanks, Matthew Felty. I appreciate that. But this is the first it's been released in public. I've been reading articles about it this morning that say, you know, source says this is in the plan. I will say, though, that the 72 hours is different because a bunch of articles said it was supposed to be 48 hours for the hostages to be released. Now the plan says 72 hours. It is now an hour and 5 minutes after the official start time. Let me go back to that the Trump peace plan. It says within 72 hours of Israel publicly accepting this agreement, all hostages, alive and deceased, will be returned. One of the other things it says is, once all hostages are returned, Hamas members who commit to peaceful coexistence and decommission their weapons will be given amnesty. Members of Hamas who wish to leave Gaza will be provided safe passage to receiving countries. Upon acceptance of this agreement, full aid will be immediately sent into the Gaza Strip. Gaza will be governed under the temporary transitional governance of a technocratic, apolitical Palestinian committee. By the way, there's a little noise outside the studio right now. That won't be, I apologize for that. I don't have control over that, but you won't hear that when the press conference starts. Just started about a minute ago, but again, you won't hear that when the actual press conference starts. I mute my mic when the press conference starts. Let's see here. So again, according to the newly posted President Trump peace plan, Gaza will be governed initially by the temporary transitional governance of a technocratic, apolitical Palestinian committee made up of qualified Palestinians and international experts, with oversight and supervision by a new international transitional body, the Board of Peace, which will be headed and chaired by President Donald J. Trump, with other members and heads of state to be announced, including former Prime Minister Tony Blair. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Vice President Vance just walked in. Secretary of State Rubio just walked in. We're about to start here. So again, I might have to switch the feed. Jared Kushner, Steve Witkoff. I might have to switch the feed right as it starts to the White House feed if that's better audio for you. So give me a moment. You might see me switch the feed to get a better feed for you very shortly. But this is, all right, so I'm going to shut up in a second. As we see everybody walk in, this is about to start. Susie Wiles, Chief of Staff. I really do think it's about to start right now. Everybody's waiting. I think everybody else is there who's supposed to be there now, so we're just waiting for Trump and Netanyahu. Our viewer Koenos says this is the moment. Thanks, Qualcare Koisa Survey. It is 2:25. The official start time was 1:15. Victoria Estrida, our viewer, says, may we have good news for the world. Thanks, Tundi Ashafa, who says, I wonder if Palestine is in on the deal they announce. I don't know if they're going to announce a deal. We'll have to see. We are waiting.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States and the Prime Minister of the State of Israel.
Thank you very much, everybody. So this is a big day, a beautiful day, potentially.
And the Prime Minister of the State of Israel.
This is the feed we're using right here. Okay, here we go.
Thank you very much, everybody. So this is a big day, a beautiful day, potentially one of the great days ever in civilization. Things that have been going on for hundreds of years and thousands of years. We're going to, at least we're at a minimum very, very close, and I think we're beyond very close. And I want to thank Bibi for really getting in there and doing a job. We've worked well together, as we have with many other countries, both of us, with many other countries, which is the only way this whole situation gets solved. And I'm not just talking about Gaza. Gaza is one thing, but we're talking about much beyond Gaza. The whole deal, everything getting solved. It's called peace in the Middle East. So today is a historic day for peace, and Prime Minister Netanyahu and I have just concluded an important meeting on many vital issues, including Iran, trade, the expansion of the Abraham Accords, and most importantly, we discussed how to end the war in Gaza, but it's just a part of the bigger picture, which is peace in the Middle East, and let's call it eternal peace in the Middle East. So this is far more than anybody expected, but the level of support that I've had from the nations in the Middle East and surrounding Israel and neighbors of Israel has been incredible. Incredible. Every single one of them. This afternoon, after extensive consultation with our friends and partners throughout the region, I'm formally releasing our principles for peace, which people have really liked, I must say. And these are done not just routinely done, these are done with total consideration and working with the nations that we're talking about. All of these nations have made contributions to those suggestions. I want to thank the leaders of many Arab and Muslim nations for their tremendous support in developing the proposal, along with many of our allies in Europe. Europe has been very much involved, and as I was called by many of the European leaders, most of them saying, is this true? Are you really doing peace in the Middle East? This is the most incredible thing we've heard. Some think it's the biggest thing they've ever heard. They called just to find out, was it just a rumor or is it actually done? And then they said, have you spoken to the Arab leaders? Have you spoken to all of the other leaders that we have to get? A lot of people involved in this one. I also want to thank Prime Minister Netanyahu for agreeing to the plan and for trusting that if we work together, we can bring an end to the death and destruction that we've seen for so many years, decades, even centuries, and begin a new chapter of security, peace, and prosperity for the entire region. And I want to just say that my meetings and dialogue that we had with so many countries, Saudi Arabia as an example, the king is a phenomenal person. The Emir of Qatar, he's incredible people. UAE, and that's MBZ and ABZ. We're totally involved. These are the people that we've been dealing with and who've been actually very much involved in this negotiation, giving us ideas, things they can live with, things they can't live with. Pretty complex. I mean, after 2,000, 3,000 years, whatever it is, I guess it's got to be a little complex, or it would have been done a long time ago. The King of Jordan was with us, as you know, in the United Nations. The President of Turkey, President Erdogan, is a friend of mine, a strong man, but a good man. President of Indonesia, somebody who's an amazing leader, Prabowo. He is an amazing leader and respected by everybody. He was in the room with us. We were together with most of these people that I'm mentioning. Others were by phone or the next day. The Prime Minister and the Field Marshal of Pakistan, they were with us right from the beginning. Incredible. In fact, they just put out a statement that they fully believe in this pact. It just came out just as I was walking around. They said, sir, you have a big notice from the Prime Minister of Pakistan and from the Field Marshal that they back this 100%. President El-Sisi of Egypt, who's terrific. And these are people I've gotten to know over the years. I mean, I would say it started around 2015 and then went into 2016 when the presidency officially began. But I've known him actually for a long time, and there are many cases really great men. I can't say in all cases, but I will tell you in many cases they're great men and some great women too. They tend to be mostly men, however, I will say that. But if accepted by Hamas, this proposal calls for the release of all remaining hostages immediately, but in no case more than 72 hours. So the hostages are coming back, and I hate even saying this from the standpoint, doesn't sound right, but it is so important to the parents. The bodies of the young men, I believe in almost all cases, the young men are coming back immediately. I met with parents. The parents felt as strongly about getting the body of their dead boy back as they did as though the boy were alive and well. It's so important to them. And it means the immediate end to the war itself, not just Gaza. It's the war itself. Under the plan, Arab and Muslim countries have committed, and in writing in many cases, but I actually would take their word for it. The people I mentioned, I'd take their word for it, to demilitarize Gaza, and that's quickly. Decommission the military capabilities of Hamas and all other terror organizations. Do that immediately. And we're relying on the countries that I named and others to deal with Hamas. And I'm hearing that Hamas wants to get this done too, and that's a good thing. And destroy all terror infrastructure, including the tunnels, weapons of production facilities. They have a lot of production facilities that we're destroying. They'll also help train local police forces in the areas that we're discussing right now, in particular in and around Gaza, working with the new transitional authority in Gaza. All parties will agree on a timeline for Israeli forces to withdraw in phases. They'll be withdrawing in phases. No more shooting, hopefully, as progress is made toward achieving these goals. Arab and Muslim nations need to be allowed the chance to fulfill these commitments of dealing with Hamas. They have to deal with them because they were the one group that we have not dealt with. I haven't dealt with them. But the Arab countries are going to, and Muslim countries are going to be dealing with Hamas, and I believe they've already been there. I think they probably have an understanding, and they haven't maybe mentioned that, but I would imagine they do. Otherwise, they wouldn't have gone as far as they've gone. If they're unable to do so, then Israel would have the absolute right and actually our full backing, the U.S. full backing. Marco's here, and a lot of our leaders are here, our great Vice President, Susie Wiles, Steve Witkoff, Jared Kushner. They've been so involved in this process. I don't think anybody else could have done it or even come close. But it's we're right there. We're right there. First time in thousands of years, I think you can probably say, if you really look into it, if you study back, if you're a scholar, you would say thousands of years. Israel would have my full backing to finish the job of destroying the threat of Hamas. But I hope that we're going to have a deal for peace. And if Hamas rejects the deal, which is always possible, they're the only one left. Everyone else has accepted it. But I have a feeling that we're going to have a positive answer. But if not, as you know, Bibi, you'd have our full backing to do what you would have to do. Everyone understands that the ultimate result must be the elimination of any danger posed in the region, and that danger is caused by Hamas. The tyranny of terror has to end, and this is, again, something that we're looking for. This is eternity. This is for forever. To ensure the success of this effort, my plan calls for the creation of a new international oversight body, the Board of Peace, we call it, the Board of Peace, sort of a beautiful name, the Board of Peace, which will be headed, not at my request, believe me, I'm very busy, but we have to make sure this works. The leaders of the Arab world and Israel and everybody involved asked me to do this, so it would be headed by a gentleman known as President Donald J. Trump of the United States. That's what I want, is some extra work to do, but it's so important that I'm willing to do it, and we'll do it right, and we're going to put leaders from other countries on, and leaders that are very distinguished leaders, and we'll have a board, and one of the people that wants to be on the board is the UK former Prime Minister, Tony Blair, good man, very good man, and some others. And they'll be named over the next few days. And it'll be quite the board. Working, everybody wants to be on it now. I don't know if that had anything to do. They named me and everybody else wanted to be on it. I guess they figure, well, he's a soft touch. He'll be easy to deal with. Working with the World Bank and others, it will be responsible for recruiting and training a new government that will be made up of Palestinians, along with highly qualified experts from all around the world. Hamas and other terrorist factions will play no role in the board, but they'll play no role in the governance of Gaza at all, directly or indirectly. As you know, thousands of Hamas leaders have been killed and soldiers have been killed. And we can never forget October 7th, but thousands have paid the price for that. And now it's time to get our hostages back and get back to trying to build something that's really great and very important. In our meeting today, Prime Minister Netanyahu was very clear about his opposition to a Palestinian state. And he continuously mentions October 7th, and I understand that. Most people do. And I understand and respect his position on many things, but what he's doing today is so good for Israel. I notice that they have large crowds gathering in Israel all the time, and they have my name up. They like me for whatever reason, maybe I don't know, but they do like me. But they say two things. Please get the hostages back and please end the war. They've had it. It's had it. So I think it's a very popular thing you do because he's a warrior. He doesn't know about getting back to a normal way of life, but he is a warrior, and Israel's lucky to have him. But now the people want to get back to peace. They want to get back to normalization in a true sense. Several countries have foolishly recognized the Palestinian state. As you know, some of our European friends, allies, good people, but they're really, I think, doing that because they're very tired of what's going on for so many decades. They've been presidents and prime ministers for years, and during this time, having to do with the Middle East, all they're doing is talking about the same thing over and over. They want to see it get back. And nobody wants that more than me, or I believe Bibi too. But the people of Israel want it. They really want it. They want the hostages back. That includes the probably 32 bodies that we're talking about, 20 people that are living, 32 or so people that are dead, and they want to have peace. So let us not forget how we got here. Hamas was elected by the Palestinian people. Israel withdrew from Gaza thinking they would live in peace. Remember that a long time ago, they withdrew. They said, you take it. This is our contribution to peace. But that didn't work out. That didn't work out. It was the opposite of peace. They pulled away. They let them have it. And I never forgot that because I said, that doesn't sound like a good deal to me. As a real estate person, I mean, they gave up the ocean, right? Ron, they gave up the ocean. They said, who would do this deal? And it still didn't work out. They were very generous, actually. And they gave up the most magnificent piece of land in many ways in the Middle East. And they said, all we want to do now is have peace. And that request was not honored. Instead of building a better life for the Palestinians, Hamas diverted resources to build over 400 miles of tunnels and terror infrastructure, rocket production facilities, and hid their military command posts and launch sites in hospitals, schools, and mosques. So if you went after them, you'd be after them, and you wouldn't even realize you ended up knocking out a hospital or school or a mosque. That terrible thing, terrible, terrible way to have to fight. No fight is good, but that's a real bad one. So there are many Palestinians who wish to live in peace. Many, many, many. I've seen so many of them. And they have support. And I challenge the Palestinians to take responsibility for their destiny, because that's what we're giving them. We're giving them responsibility for their destiny, fully condemn and prohibit terrorism and earn their way to a brighter future. They don't want the life that they've had. They've had a rough life with Hamas. If the Palestinian Authority does not complete the reforms that I laid out in my vision for peace in 2020, they'll have only themselves to blame. We're giving them an amazing footprint, and they have amazing support from the leaders of the Arab world and the Muslim world, the great leaders. These are great leaders. These are unbelievable leaders that have built great countries and very wealthy countries. What the future holds for the Palestinians, no one really knows, but the plan that we put forward today is focused on ending the war immediately, getting all of our hostages back, getting everything back. Hard to believe when you even say it, and creating conditions for durable Israeli security and Palestinian success. Israeli security is going to be involved. We're going to help you. We'll be there with you. In terms of helping with security, we want to make sure it works. We just want to make sure it works. There shouldn't be a shot fired. Now, there will be, I guess, because that's the way it seems to be, but there shouldn't have to be within a few days. There shouldn't have to be a shot fired. and maybe for eternity. Wouldn't that be nice? I hope it's true. I can tell you the leadership of that region feels that there's a good chance of it being true. So this will lead to this agreement that we're talking about will lead to a sustainable long-term peace. No president in history has been a greater friend of the state of Israel than I have, in addition to negotiating the Abraham Accords. I like to say it that way because the real people, that's what they call Abraham. I would say Abraham, but it's so much nicer when you say Abraham. So much more elegant. But the Abraham Accords, they were amazing. Jared, you did that along with your group of geniuses, and nobody thought that could be done. We have 4 countries, and Sleepy Joe Biden didn't do a thing. He didn't even know what the hell they were. He should have had them filled up. But I think this will also lead to packing them. And who knows, maybe even Iran can get in there. I hope, we hope we're going to be able to get along with Iran. I think they're going to be open to it. I really believe that. But they could be a member. I long ago said, I'll bet you at some point Iran will be a member of the Accords. And little did I realize it was going to take this turn. That was some turn we did with the B-2s. But I think they might very well be there because it's a great thing for them economically. I recognize the eternal capital of Israel. I opened the American embassy in Jerusalem. That was something that everyone said would never be done, could never be done. Virtually every president for many, many years, for decades, would campaign on making Jerusalem the capital of Israel. They campaigned on it over and over. Is that right, Steve? Is that right? Everyone, and when they got to it, and I understand why now, because it was so. When I got to office, I campaigned on it too. I said, we're going to make it. And then I'd get calls from the leaders of various countries saying, please don't do it, please don't do it. It'll end the whole world, please don't do it. And finally, I just didn't say anything, and I did it. People were calling me before I did it because they heard I was going to do it, and leaders of countries were calling me, and I think it was on a Thursday that I did it, and they'd call me Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 3-4 times a day, and I said, tell them I'll call them back on Friday. And I announced it on Thursday, and I called them back, the biggest people in the world, and they said, you've done it. I said, done what? You've made the capital of Israel, Jerusalem, and we wanted to talk yet. I wish you called me a little sooner. Maybe I could have done something about it. So that was a lot easier than getting into an argument, because I knew what they were calling about. And you know what? It turned out to be amazing. Everybody thought it was going to lead to the end of the world, right? The end of the world, Ron, that's what they said. It didn't lead to anything. It just led to something that I promised, and something that was very, very popular for Jewish people and a lot of other people, too. I recognize Israeli sovereignty over the Golan Heights, and I cut taxpayer funding to the corrupt United Nations Relief and Works Agency. And United Nations was interesting because, as you know, a few days ago they introduced me. Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States, I'm looking at my teleprompter, and the thing was dead, stone cold, dead. The thing's up here. I have a long, beautiful speech to make. I'm back 30 feet back, and I'm saying, they're introducing me. There's nothing on my teleprompter. So, but I made a speech. I actually got good marks. You think Biden could have done that? I don't think so. I don't think he could have done that. I don't think too many people could have done it. But actually, it was actually more of a speech from my heart, if you want to know the truth. I think it was maybe better in certain ways because it was from the heart. It has to be from the heart. Otherwise, you're in big trouble. But I cut taxpayer funding for that very corrupt United Nations Relief and Works Agency, and nobody thought that would be done, and withdrew from the horrible Iran nuclear deal that was imposed upon Israel by Barack Hussein Obama and Biden. And I don't think Biden knew anything about it, though. I don't think he knows anything about it now, actually, if you ask him. He'd say, what is that? and we obliterated Iran's nuclear enrichment capacity, making it impossible for them to have a nuclear weapon, which they would have had probably in about 2 months from that. But I've never asked Israel to compromise its security, but we had big, strong talk. Nobody's been better to Israel. No president's been better to Israel than Donald Trump. But we had a long, strong talk, Bibi and I, and he understands it's time. It's time. History has shown. And the people of Israel want it. And the people of the Middle East want it. The people of enemies of Israel want it. But they don't have really too many enemies right now. And you know what? Many countries have gained great respect for Israel, for the way they fight, for the job they do, including me. I had respect anyway, but they gained respect. History has shown us that those who have relations with Israel have thrived, while those who have devoted resources and attention toward the destruction and even annihilation of Israel have languished. They haven't done well. Israel is not going anywhere. They're going to coexist with other people and countries in the region, from Syria to Lebanon to Saudi Arabia. The promise of a new Middle East is so clearly within our reach. This is the closest we've ever come to real peace, not fake peace, not political fool's peace. If we can get this difficult problem solved, the opportunities for all within that vast region of this world, it's a vast region, it's unlimited. The Abraham Accords show that all countries are better off when they communicate and work together and embrace new opportunities. I hope Jared and Steve and Susie and Marco and JD, we have great people. I hope you guys are going to work very hard to get these other countries in, because now they have no excuse. There's no longer an excuse. They were somewhere hesitant. And I tell you, the 4 countries that went in, I give them tremendous credit, and it's worked out incredibly well for them. In the same spirit, I'm pleased to report that earlier today we took another important step toward greater understanding in the region. A short time ago, we had a historic phone call in the Oval Office with Prime Minister Tani, who's really a great person. So we had a great talk, and I was on the phone, and Bibi was talking. Prime Minister Al Thani was of Qatar. They really had a heart-to-heart conversation. It was a great conversation, I thought. It was productive. It was everything that you need to have something turn out to be successful. And I want to thank Bibi, and I want to thank the Prime Minister. It was fantastic. We agreed to launch a formal trilateral mechanism between Israel, Qatar, and the United States to begin a dialogue to enhance mutual security, correct misperceptions, and avoid future misgivings. And I want to thank Qatar, its leadership, and the Emir. He's a fantastic person. I think, I'm going to be his public relations man because I know him differently than a lot of people know him. But he wants peace. He wants to see peace. And his people, and they really acknowledge the critical role that they've played as mediator. And again, we're not quite finished. We have to get Hamas, but I think they're going to be able to do that. So now it's time for Hamas to accept the terms of the plan that we've put forward today. And again, this is a different Hamas than we were dealing with, because I guess over 20,000 have been killed. Their leadership has been killed 3 times over. So you're really dealing with different people than we've been dealing with over the last 4 years, 5 years. Everyone has done their part and come to the table in good faith. Our Arab and Muslim partners are fully prepared to step up and fulfill their commitments for the benefit of the people of Gaza and the entire region. They're willing to step up and do a lot. They really are. There are a lot of good people involved. Everybody who wants to see an end to the violence and destruction should be united in calling for Hamas to accept the extremely fair proposal so that we can end the war and get us back our hostages right now and have everlasting peace. And I look forward to having relationships with everyone. As the chairman of the board, I'll be involved, and we'll have meetings with some very smart people that'll be working over there to make sure that we haven't just been wasting time with an agreement that doesn't get done. The task of building peace will not be easy. They're some of the hardest problems in the world to solve, and that's why it's been going on for so many centuries. But too many lives are at stake not to try, and this is more than a try. I mean, I think this is something that gets done when you have virtually every country, and these are powerful, powerful countries that have a lot of money, and the money can make things happen. A lot of countries try, and they don't have any money. These are very rich countries that can make things happen. So together we'll forge a much safer and more hopeful future for everybody, including Israel. And I want to thank Prime Minister Netanyahu for his partnership, and I want to thank all of the leaders, the kings and the emirs and the presidents and prime ministers, people I mentioned. And they've been absolutely fantastic to work with, and it's just happened very quickly. It's happened from a couple of weeks before I had a couple of meetings, but a couple of weeks before we went to the United Nations, and we had some incredible meetings. It all came to place. It all took place, and everybody wanted to be a part of it. I don't have anybody that's saying we don't want anything to do with it. It's just the opposite. And I'll tell you, a couple of years ago, a year ago, I don't think we would have had this kind of participation, Mr. VP, right? I don't think we would have had. It's been amazing. The participation was 100%. Everybody wants to be a part of it. And everybody, those very strong countries, everybody wants it to work. So, Bibi, congratulations on this. I think this will be your crowning achievement, frankly. If this all works out, we think it will. It's going to be your crowning achievement. And I want to thank you very much for being here. Thank you. Please.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. President, first I want to thank you for graciously hosting me once again in the White House. And second, I want to thank you for your friendship and for your leadership. From Jerusalem to Tehran, from the Golan Heights to Gaza, you've proven time and again what I've said many times. You are the greatest friend that Israel has ever had in the White House. And Mr. President, you and I both know it's not even close. While you focus at home on making America great again, your leadership abroad is changing the world for the better, ending wars and advancing peace. I believe that today we're taking a critical step towards both ending the war in Gaza and setting the stage for dramatically advancing peace in the Middle East, and I think beyond the Middle East, in very important Muslim countries. I support your plan to end the war in Gaza, which achieves our war aims. It will bring back to Israel all our hostages, dismantle Hamas's military capabilities, end its political rule, and ensure that Gaza never again poses a threat to Israel. We would not have achieved this turning point without the courage and sacrifice of our incredibly brave soldiers. They fight like lions to defend the people of Israel, and they serve on the front line in the war between civilization and barbarism. Mr. President, when our two countries stand shoulder to shoulder, we achieve the impossible. Just a few months ago, in Operation Rising Lion and Operation Midnight Hammer, we struck a decisive blow against Iran's nuclear and ballistic missile program. Your bold decision to send those B-2s made the region safer and the world safer. Now, under your leadership, we're taking the next step to win the war and expand the peace. Your plan is consistent with the 5 principles my government set for the end of the war and the day after Hamas. Everybody asks, what is your plan for the day after Hamas? Here's our plan. Pass it in the cabinet. All our hostages, both those who are alive and those who died, all of them will return home immediately. Hamas will be disarmed. Gaza will be demilitarized. Israel will retain security responsibility, including a security perimeter for the foreseeable future. And lastly, Gaza will have a peaceful civilian administration that is run neither by Hamas nor by the Palestinian Authority. If Hamas agrees to your plan, Mr. President, the first step will be a modest withdrawal, followed by the release of all our hostages within 72 hours. The next step will be the establishment of an international body charged with fully disarming Hamas and demilitarizing Gaza. I appreciate your willingness to lead the body, Mr. President. I really appreciate it because you have a lot of things to do, and this is important. And it reflects the confidence that this will give everyone, that things will be followed up on all the commitments made. The fact that you're taking this on, I think, helps a lot to make sure that everything flows in the direction that we want. Now, if this international body succeeds, we will have permanently ended the war. Israel will conduct further withdrawals linked to the extent of disarmament and demilitarization, but will remain in the security perimeter for the foreseeable future. I think we should understand that we're giving everybody a chance to have this done peacefully, something that will achieve all our war objectives without any further bloodshed. But if Hamas rejects your plan, Mr. President, or if they supposedly accept it and then basically do everything to counter it, then Israel will finish the job by itself. This can be done the easy way, or it can be done the hard way, but it will be done. We prefer the easy way, but it has to be done. All these goals must be achieved because we didn't fight this horrible fight, sacrifice the finest of our young men to have Hamas stay in Gaza and threaten us again and again and again with these horrific massacres. Mr. President, I was encouraged by your clear statement at the UN against the recognition of a Palestinian state. That would be an outcome that, after October 7th, would reward terrorism, undermine security, and endanger Israel's very existence. As for the Palestinian Authority, I appreciate your firm position that the PA could have no role whatsoever in Gaza without undergoing a radical and genuine transformation. In your 2020 peace plan, which you mentioned just now, you made clear what that transformation requires. It's not lip service. It's not checking a box. It's a fundamental, genuine, and enduring transformation. And that means ending pay to slay, changing the poisonous textbooks that teach hatred to Jews, to Palestinian children, stopping incitement in the media, ending lawfare against Israel at the ICC, the ICJ, recognizing the Jewish state, and many, many other reforms. It won't come as a surprise to you that the vast majority of Israelis have no faith that the PA Leopard will change its spots. But rather than wait for this miraculous transformation, your plan provides a practical and realistic path forward for Gaza in the coming years, in which Gaza will be administered neither by Hamas nor the Palestinian Authority, but by those committed to a genuine peace with Israel. I think this can be not only a new beginning for Gaza, I think it can be a new beginning for the entire region. Under your leadership, we can re-energize, well, I've got to contribute my own, we can re-energize the Abraham Accords. That's what it's called in the original Hebrew, Abraham. Abraham is fine, Abraham, however you want to call it. Under your leadership, Mr. President, we can re-energize the Abraham Accords that we forged 5 years ago. We can expand them to many more Arab and Muslim nations that choose moderation over extremism, I think there's an opportunity here. It's not going to be easy. It's tough going. But I think if we succeed, you're absolutely right. We're going to open possibilities that nobody even dreamed of. But I think we dream of them. As you've told me, Mr. President, and you've told the world many, many times, you said, remember October 7th. Remember October 7th. And we do. We will never forget the horrors of October 7th, and we will do whatever is necessary to make sure they don't happen again. Since October 7th, Israel's enemies have learned a hard truth. Those who attack us pay a heavy price, but those who partner with us advance progress and security for their peoples. President Trump just said it. It's also in the Bible. It says, those who will bless you will be blessed, and those who will curse you will be cursed. And that's actually what is happening. We want the blessings. I think we've done a lot in the past 2 years to end the curse. We're not finished, but we've done a lot. And we've done a lot together to end the curse. I want to thank your entire team for their efforts to get to this point. I especially want to thank Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner for their indefatigable work to bring Israel and Arab states in the region closer together. I am deeply grateful to both of them for their work. We had a phone call today just to make it clear. I said to the Prime Minister of Qatar, Israel was targeting terrorists. It wasn't targeting Qatar. And of course, we regretted the loss of the Qatari citizen. It wasn't our target. And I very much appreciate President Trump's proposal to have a trilateral body, the United States, Israel, and Qatar, to work out respective grievances. There are quite a few. But if we could try to mitigate them or put it on a different footing, I think that'll be good for everyone. Above all the people, the fine team, the many helpers who've done this, I want to thank you, Mr. President. History has already shown that under your leadership, Israel and America can change the face of the Middle East. And today I'm hopeful that your plan to end the war in Gaza will do so again and do so soon. It will free our hostages, end Hamas's tyranny in Gaza, and enable a more secure and prosperous future for the peoples of our region. Thank you, Mr. President. May God bless America. May God bless Israel. May God bless the indispensable alliance between our countries. And may I add in Hebrew, G'mal Chatima Tova, may we all be inscribed in the book of life. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bibi. So I think while we wait for these documents to be signed and get everybody in line, I think it maybe is not really appropriate to take questions. I'm meeting with, as you know, a couple of Democrats in a little while about the country, about keeping our country open. They're going to have to do some things because their ideas are not very good ones. They're very bad for our country. So we'll see how that works out. But this is something that was really historic today. This was something that was amazing. I think, Bibi, I mean, depending on you, I think while we're waiting for signatures and waiting for approvals from a lot of different countries that are involved in this, we probably shouldn't take questions? Or would you like to take a question or two from perhaps a friendly Israeli reporter, if there's such a thing?
That's a very, very tough proposition. But I would think, Mr. President, that I would go by your instinct that this is, we'll have enough time for questions. Let's settle the issue first, I think. No.
Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you,
Okay, this was a as you can see on the screen, it says press conference. See, it says President Trump participates in the press conference. That was pretty shocking. That there were no questions. That seemed to be not planned because Prime Minister Netanyahu said, "Well, whatever you think, Mr. President." So, wow. Yeah, that was a press conference with no questions. So, anyways, that was a surprise. Let me show you the room real quick. I can show you the room. Oh no, I lost the shot of the room. So no more shot of the room. Okay, so let's talk about this. Let's talk about this here. So, yeah, I was just waiting for the questions. I mean, that's the event it's a press conference and the press is all there and they have it set up to take questions. So I'm kind of surprised right now that they didn't take questions. So basically, President Trump said that there's this new peace plan that the White House announced right before the press conference, and Netanyahu says he supports it. Hamas has not agreed to it. I don't know what Hamas thinks of it. I was hoping to hear some questions and to give it a little more, to get some more details about things and stuff. But yeah, that was pretty wild. That was pretty wild to have no questions. Wow. Let's see here. Okay, so let's talk about this. I'm going to try to, I would like to be able to pull up this peace plan. But a key thing about this peace plan is Hamas has not agreed to it, okay? Hamas needs to agree to it. And Hamas has not agreed to it. So we have a proposal from President Trump. We have Netanyahu saying he agrees to it, but I don't know. I thought he said that he didn't want the Palestinian Authority to be involved. And I don't know if the peace plan mentions that. I'm going to pull up the peace plan right now so you can see it. All right. Hang on. We're pulling up the peace plan right now so you guys can see it. It just came out. I want to take some of your comments too. I'm still pretty stunned about the no questions. That was certainly a curveball. That was a curveball. Because really the point of that event is to have the questions. It's a press conference. Okay, so hang on a moment here. Oopsie. I didn't want to repost that. Oops, I reposted the wrong thing. Before. I was trying to repost the peace plan. I thought I did, but I didn't. Let's try this again. Okay, I just reposted it. Here it is. Here is the peace plan, which you can see. I want to take some comments. First of all, what did you guys think? What did you guys think? What are you guys thinking right now? Let me take some comments from you guys. Okay. D-Pin Doc thinks massive pressure will be on Hamas from all of the agreed members when signed. Look, I don't think Hamas is going to do... Who is going to be putting pressure on Hamas but more than to make them do something they don't want to do at this point? So part of the peace plan is that within 72 hours, all hostages, alive and deceased, will be returned. I said to you before the press conference, I would be shocked if Hamas agrees to something like this, because that's like their big leverage. Their big leverage is the hostages. So I would be stunned if they give the hostages back within 72 hours, and the idea is that they're giving the hostages back in exchange for some kind of Israeli and U.S. promise to be nice to Hamas and let certain members of Hamas have amnesty and let certain members leave safely? Is Hamas going to trust the U.S. and Israel and just give back all the hostages and say, okay, well, we gave back the hostages. You can be nice to us now like you said you would? I mean, look, it'd be great if the hostages could come back. I would just be shocked if, I said that before the press conference. I'd be shocked if they agreed to such a thing. I mean, and I'm not an expert on the region. It just seems like, to me, that it's an unlikely thing for them to agree to. It literally says, within 72 hours of Israel publicly accepting this agreement, all hostages alive and deceased will be returned. And then it says, once all the hostages are returned, Israel will release these Palestinian prisoners. That's after the hostages are returned. Once all the hostages are returned, Hamas members who commit to peaceful coexistence and to decommission their weapons will be given amnesty. Members of Hamas who wish to leave Gaza will be provided safe passage to receiving countries. Do you think members of Hamas in Gaza are going to want to give all the hostages back and then trust Israel and the U.S. to let them to give them amnesty and to let them leave? I don't even know if they'd want to leave. And this is regardless. I'm not saying this is regardless of what you think about Hamas or Israel. My view about this is not based on a particular view of Hamas or Israel. I just think it's common sense to think that the members of Hamas are not going to be leaping to take a deal where they give back their major leverage, the hostages, within 72 hours, all of them, and then trust that Israel will leave them alone. So, again, I don't know what's going to happen. I would just be stunned if they agreed to that. The point is not what I think about Hamas or Israel, or what you think about Hamas or Israel. The point is, what does Hamas think of Israel? And what does Hamas think of the U.S. in this situation? Now, Dan Fontana says this was not a deal, it was a threat. Now, granted, President Trump said, if Hamas doesn't agree to this, then I will give my backing to Israel to do whatever it needs to do. I guess, though, what Hamas might say to that is, well, what more is Israel going to do to us than they've been doing the last 2 years? I don't know that Israel has been holding something back for the last 2 years. Has Israel been holding something back and going easy on Hamas for 2 years, and now they're really going to start attacking Hamas in Gaza? I mean, I don't know that threat is going to carry a lot of weight with Hamas people. And again, this is not, the views I'm saying I don't think are extremely insightful. And I don't pretend to be a Middle East expert. It just seems like common sense. So, I have said this again and again over the last couple of years about these. We're constantly hearing about peace deals, and my response has pretty regularly been, talk to me when they both agree to something, because we always hear about one side or the other saying they're close to agreeing to something, and then stuff doesn't happen. But again, I would just be absolutely shocked. Look. It would be great. I'd love for the war to be over. I'd love for the hostages to be returned. That would be fantastic. This is terrible, this war. But I would just be absolutely shocked if Hamas gave all the hostages back within 72 hours and said, okay, we trust you to be nice to us now. So if this deal, if Hamas agrees to this deal soon, you can all point at me and say, Steve, you were absolutely wrong. Alsteroid thinks this is a dead-on arrival deal proposed to be rejected and give further justification to continued hostilities. I didn't say that part. Anatolian thinks this is not a serious proposal. Anatolian says Israel puts them out there routinely to pretend they're attempting something. That's what Anatolian says. I would have to imagine that, I mean, and look at how the past hostage releases with Hamas went, right? It was like 5 at a time, 6 at a time, takes place over the course of weeks while Hamas feels it's getting something in return. So, I mean, if you told me that Hamas agreed to some kind of deal where, okay, we'll release 5 hostages and then X happens, and then we'll release 5 more and then Y happens. Okay, that sounds like kind of like what they've been doing. I could see that happening. We release all the hostages and then you give us back prisoners, and also then you grant amnesty to some Hamas members who wish to decommission their weapons. So again, part of this is that the Hamas members who, after all the hostages are given back, then Hamas members have to commit to peaceful coexistence and to give up their weapons. So not only does Hamas have to trust that Israel will actually give them amnesty and actually allow those to leave who want to leave, although I don't know that they'll want to leave Gaza, Hamas members who've been fighting to try to keep Gaza in Palestinian hands. You have to do this, Hamas. You have to trust Israel to do that after you've given them your weapons. They have to decommission their weapons. Again, you can point at me and tell me I'm wrong, and feel free to yell at me how wrong I was if Hamas agrees to this. I just can't imagine Hamas is going to agree to this. We'll have to see. All right, let's do a poll. Will Hamas agree to this? Poll. Flash poll. Will Hamas agree to this? Yes or no? I can't post it on Facebook because Facebook polls aren't working. I'll post it on Twitch and YouTube. I will once again post a link to this. I only have the X link because I haven't seen it posted on the White House site. I'm sure the White House will post it, but for now I just have the X link to the proposal. All right, let me show you what you guys are saying about this. Let me just see, has the White House actually posted this yet? Because I would love to give you the White House link for it. But right now I just see it on X. Anyways, all right, let me show you what you guys said. So, the question is, will Hamas agree to this new proposal, the President Trump comprehensive plan to end the Gaza conflict, which Prime Minister Netanyahu just said he supports? Over on YouTube, 86% of the people say no. And on Twitch, it's 86% of the people say no. Now, maybe there is a different version of this. Maybe Hamas will offer a counter proposal, keeping some of the proposal and proposing other things. welcome to our, I'll say, thinks neither side wants peace. Our viewers are skeptical. And if you missed it, today's event was a press conference. So, as I understand it, the real essence of such an event, the purpose of such an event, is for the leaders to take questions. And surprisingly, after President Trump and Netanyahu spoke, and the room of the press, filled with press, was waiting to ask questions, President Trump suddenly said they were not going to take questions. I feel like I kind of heard a groan in the room when that happened. President Trump suddenly announced they were not going to take questions because it was not appropriate during the negotiations, it sounded like, to take questions. And then he said to Netanyahu that if Netanyahu wanted, he could take a question from a friendly Israeli reporter, something like that. And Netanyahu deferred to Trump. So they didn't take any questions in the press conference. Which I don't know that I've seen that before. Certainly in recent years, I have not seen one of those White House press conferences where they didn't take questions. Is there a response from Hamas? I'll have to check. Anyway, so our viewers, 86% who voted on Twitch say Hamas will not agree to it. 85% who voted on YouTube say Hamas will not agree to it. My vote, I didn't vote in the poll, but as you know, my vote is no. Our viewer, Essin Yardim, thinks Hamas will agree to it only if Qatar pressures them. Thank you, Essin, by the way. I owe a couple thank yous, by the way. Let me thank a couple people. Then I'm going to take some more of your comments here. Tanner Bone thanks. Tanner says, let's hope they do agree. Thank you, Tanner. Thank you, Matthew Felty. Matthew Felty thinks there's pressure from them on the ground. Thanks, Matthew. Thanks, Sven Shaper, Malcolm Moore, Sneezing Eagle, Essin Yardim, again from Turkey, Lidwine Elizabeth, Tim Glenn, Logan Kiwi, Martin Gingrich, Clearmind Politics, YPF in Argentina, Stacy Chit Chats. A couple more questions. I didn't get to thank people during the press conference, or during the announcements, I guess you could call it. LeGrant Jackson, Patricia Grace, Babelicious, Leon, TJ, Sly Goyce the Sauce, Johannes Valentin, Qual Caracosa, TJ. Okay, and Hot Rodacy over on Twitch. Fetor Mephitis, and Beautiful Profanity on Twitch as well. All right, hang on one moment. Let me just make sure I don't have any news updates. Then I'm going to take some more comments from you guys. Oh, Amakai Stein, who's with Jerusalem Post, reports that a senior Hamas member on Al Jazeera just said that the published plan is closer to the Israeli perspective than to what Hamas wants. Again, that's from Amakai Stein with Jerusalem Post. He says, and I-24 News English, he says that a Hamas senior member on Al Jazeera said the published plan is closer to the Israeli perspective than what Hamas wants. Oh, update from Reuters. A Hamas official tells Reuters Hamas has not yet received the plan officially, nothing beyond media publication. That is a statement. Oh, I'm going to go live to the White House. Hold on. That's from Graham Slattery of Reuters. All right, hold on. Oh, no, hold on. Where is this? There's the White House. There's the White House right now. I think Bibi's about to leave. We have footage from the White House. Yes, this is footage from the White House. I'm going to put my headphones on so I can hear it. Hey, it's the White House. It's a little loud. Look, it's the White House. Netanyahu is about to leave. A Palestinian news outlet I follow called, it's at My Palestine O. They say that the one of the Hamas leaders, Mahmoud Mardawi, has responded to Trump's plan and says Trump's plan has not reached us and it is close to the Israeli vision. Again, Hamas's Mahmoud Mardawi says Trump's plan has not reached us and it is close to the Israeli vision. That is via at My Palestine O on X. Reuters reports that, as I mentioned, Hamas official says Hamas has not yet received the plan officially, nothing beyond media publication. But the official, again, Al Sharq breaking news, Al Sharq, which is a Middle Eastern news outlet, says a Hamas official says Hamas has not yet received the written peace plan that Trump drafted regarding Gaza. I am seeing reports from Palestinian media outlets saying Israel is launching flares over Al-Shati camp in the west of Gaza City. So sounds like maybe some fighting actively going on or about to happen in Gaza City. Is Al-Shati west of Gaza City or no? It is Gaza City. We're waiting for Netanyahu to leave, and I'm also looking for reaction, more her reaction from Hamas. But the officials, and if I would call it, all right, so here also is Times of Israel correspondent Nurit Yohanan reports that Hamas senior official Mohammed Mardawi said on Al Jazeera, what was said in the press conference regarding the end of the war leans toward the Israeli perspective. It is close to what Netanyahu has adhered to in order to continue the war. She says that's sort of an initial response, but he also said Hamas needs to receive the plan before responding to it. So, again, a senior Hamas official, we've heard from multiple sources, from multiple reports, went on Al Jazeera and said basically what was said in the press conference is close to the Israeli perspective, but officially Hamas is saying, well, we haven't gotten the official proposal. So there's no official Hamas response to the proposal at this point because they say we haven't gotten it yet. I'm going to take some more comments from you guys. If you missed it, there were no questions taken in the press conference. No questions were taken. It seemed like maybe something done on the fly, that President Trump decided on the fly. Our viewer Locomotion thinks it was all performative posturing. String Theory thinks, in a nutshell, this is a request for surrender. Let me read some more comments from you guys. J3 Pita says, I thought every pro-Palestinian would support ending the war. Terrified says, it's so obvious things like this are almost certain to fail. Tina La Placa thinks Hamas will surrender. Gina Pina says, can't we at least send it tons of food trucks? It was interesting, though, because I didn't know what was going to be announced. You know, they could have announced, like, oh, we have some sort of commitment from both sides to do something or other. But the announcement today was that Israel supported this plan, but Hamas has not given support of it. And Hamas says they haven't officially seen it. Indeed, publicly, the plan was only posted publicly right before the press conference. Oh, I'm sorry. I got to update the headline. Terrence Gragston says the deal is not a deal. Well, it's not a deal yet. Thanks, Batman, our member. The Prime Minister of Pakistan posted this morning that he supported the plan. Kiska Sweetie Belle thinks the deal would be a deal to surrender. Steve Herman for years reported from the White House. I follow Steve. Steve says it's very unusual for President Trump to speak at length before the media and not take questions, which is true. Aside from the fact that it was called a press conference, as we said, I mean, that kind of event that we saw today, the essence of the event, it's basically an event for people to ask questions. So it was really surprising. But what Steve is saying is just in general, if he speaks for that length before the press, he'll take questions. But I mean, that kind of event, and Steve pointed this out too, but we were saying this earlier, that type of event, really the purpose of it is for people to ask questions. I might play that at the end there when he suddenly announced that. Replay it for you guys. The Eternal Kloof thinks it's a take it or leave it proposal, can't see Hamas agreeing. Slaycon thinks Hamas won't accept this. Courtney says maybe he didn't want to be asked questions that are unrelated. I mean, normally for an event like that, if you don't want to take questions, you just wouldn't schedule that event, that type of event. Shaft says, I wonder if it was something Netanyahu said during his speech that turned him off. Thank you, Shaft. Thanks, Batman. I want to shout out our moderators, too. We're still waiting for Netanyahu to leave. Maybe Netanyahu will say something as he's leaving. Thanks, S. Stern42 on Twitch. Thanks, Alex BZ. Alex thinks this is not diplomacy, this is thuggery? Mingo says, if Hamas says no, the war doesn't end. Andrew says, kinda hope they don't accept so we can fix this once and for all. Tracy Bankson de Klerk thought Trump seemed uncomfortable today. Bluesy Girl thinks they won't let the hostages go. Gary Jones thinks Hamas will not agree and they know it. Thanks Ruth Krafasi for moderating, by the way. Thanks all of our moderators. They are the ones who allow us to have our chat rooms, and I really appreciate it. Ruth is over there moderating right now on YouTube. Thank you. Also on Twitch. Good luck, Duck, Idaho Star, I got that fire. Matthew Kohai 3 and Papa Bear. Kay Lowry Body, Margaret Riley, Shannon Davis Hughes, Paul Anderson on Facebook. Thanks, Robert Rial II, for subscribing on Facebook. Thanks, Robert. Linda Belk, Larry, and Misha on X. We are waiting for Prime Minister Netanyahu to walk out of the White House. Maybe he'll say something. Thanks, Sharon Klassen Gosselin, for subscribing on Facebook as well. Melissa Terry says it feels like Hamas lost and this is just dragging it out, letting civilians suffer. Jamie Langerich says those who are pro-Palestinian want the blockade on the Gaza Strip to end, equal rights, reparations for those who have been displaced, and coexistence. Thanks, Chuck Mosca, for subscribing as well. And Kay. Netanyahu said today in the press, it was a press conference with no questions. I support your plan to end the war in Gaza, he said, which achieves our warnings. It will bring back to Israel all the hostages, expand on Hamas's military capabilities and its political rule, and ensure that Gaza never again poses a threat to Israel. That expand thing either was a misquote or a misstatement, I think. Because he also said Hamas will be disarmed, Netanyahu said. Hey, thanks to Edith Garasi for being a member. Thank you. Thank you, Chug. Chug says, according to Chug, I haven't checked this. It kind of sounds right, though. Chug believes that Trump spoke for 28 minutes and Netanyahu spoke for 11. Sounds like around right. I haven't double checked, though. Thank you, Chug. Thank you again, Shaf. We're waiting for Netanyahu to walk out. The camera's zooming in. The camera is zooming in. Is it about to happen? Is it about to happen now? I'm hearing birds. DJB Pa Studios thinks this was all a setup and something big is really coming. Matthias Joseph Wynn Seaman thinks it was weird at the end with no questions. Matthias thought it was a pointless press conference. I think because there were no questions. Victoria Haas, our viewer, says, sounds like Hamas has no support from Arabic nations. Time to surrender. Helen Anderson, thanks for subscribing on Facebook. Helen says, someone have a good solution to this war? Our viewer Peace Prowler thinks Hamas is signing the deal as we speak. I don't think that's happening. They say they haven't even officially gotten the proposal. Kit Sami says the deal saves Hamas lives provided Israel honors the agreement. But our viewer Kitsami also says, however, Israel agreed they'd allow aid to Gaza before and then blew it in the camps up. Thanks to our subscribers on Twitch like Quake Clouds, Nashville Lou, Hefty Tartar, Wall Street Shaggy, Grant 74P, E-Biker, just to name a few, Billy Joe, Quake Clouds, Estern 42. Seeing if I have any other updates here. Still waiting for Netanyahu to leave the White House. Thanks so much to Peter DeCoste from Australia. And Peter's dad, Dr. Sergio. Thank you, Peter and Dr. Sergio. Reuters reports that Israeli opposition lawmaker Benny Gantz said on X that President Trump's proposal to end the war was an opportunity to free the hostages and safeguard Israel's security. Reuters says President Trump said today that Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu had agreed, and Prime Minister Netanyahu said this, that he had agreed to back a U.S.-sponsored Gaza peace proposal. Trump said they were beyond very close to forging an elusive peace deal, and he hoped the Hamas militants would also accept it. The White House released Trump's 20-point plan that calls for a ceasefire, a swap of hostages held by Hamas for Palestinian prisoners held by Israel, a staged Israeli withdrawal from Gaza, Hamas disarmament, and a transitional government led by an international body. This was Netanyahu's fourth visit to the White House since Trump returned to office. Reuters says the White House talks came as Israeli tanks on Monday thrust deeper into the heart of Gaza City. Israel has launched one of its biggest offensives of the war this month, with Netanyahu saying he aims to wipe out Hamas in its final redoubts. The war has left much of Gaza in ruins and caused a major humanitarian crisis. Pam D'Angelo says this will never end, people. Poilani says it's no peace offer. Louise P. says, will Hamas go? Referring to the fact that the plan offers Hamas the possibility of leaving the country or leaving the territory safely. Members of Hamas who wish to leave Gaza will be provided safe passage to receiving countries, it says. The plan also says Hamas and other factions agree to not have any role in the governance of Gaza in any form. Is Hamas going to agree to that, to have no role in any form in the governance of Gaza? Another part of the plan is that the U.S. will work with Arab and international partners to develop a temporary international stabilization force to immediately deploy in Gaza. There is no such force at the moment. Another part of the plan is Israel will not occupy or annex Gaza. We lost the volume. It seemed like the video paused. Let's give it a second and see if the video comes back. Oh, now the video is working, but we don't have audio. They lost their audio. Get the audio back. We have no audio. Let me just make sure of that. If I rewind, Yeah, it's the actual feed. It's the feed. Oh, the audio is back. Audio is back. We're live now. I see people walking out. I think BB is coming out. Did I miss it? Did he already come out? No, they're opening the door. They're opening the door. Here he comes. Here he comes, I think. Is he going to say anything? It's Bibi Netanyahu leaving the White House. I'm removing myself. Okay, leave myself on there. Waiting for Netanyahu to leave. A lot of press leaving too, it looks like. Maybe Israeli press is leaving. Here he is. There's Netanyahu. There he is.
Prime Minister.
He waved. He waved. Netanyahu waved. I believe he was with Monica Crowley, who I think is the White House head of protocol. I have that right. Chief of protocol of the U.S. Can we see him in there? Hey, you can see him in the back. There he is. He's leaving now. He is leaving now. We will watch him leave. They're closing the door. Netanyahu's vehicle is leaving the White House now. There you go.
Mic stand's gonna be where?
We dropped that tree.
There you go.
Mic stand.
Mic stand?
It's gonna be, yeah, no, it's gonna be right between those puddles a little further.
Right betwixt the puddles?
Yeah, you gotta have it right
great
here.
job. Outstanding.
Bring it this way more.
I got a piece.
Let me go get my stool. No, this way, this way.
All right, so that's a little post shot there. Let me show you the, let me go back and pull up here the peace plan here. We'll talk about that for a couple minutes. You know what I'll do? I'll have the peace plan up, and then what I'll do is also I'll put on the screen, while we're talking about the peace plan, why not have it showing the shot of Gaza. I'll shrink it down a bit. Hold on. We need to do it this way. How am I going to do this? How am I going to do this? That didn't work. Oh, I see. Hold on, one moment here. I got to just do this so I can show you this. Move that up there. But what I'll do is, we'll put it down here in the corner. Or down there, just so you can see it. That's the Gaza shot there. Live view of Gaza, of northern Gaza from Israel, while we're keeping an eye on Gaza. Okay. But we needed to go. Oops. There you go. Once in a while, you can see a flash there. I mean, there's not any kind of like big new thing going on there, but just to do it since we're talking about this. Oh, by the way, this is a map which is in the peace plan. So let me just pull this up. This is a map from the newly released Trump peace plan. Trump end of Gaza war. The blue line is IDF current line of control. Yellow line is initial withdraw hostage release. Red line is second withdrawal when International Stability Force, I think it is, Stabilization Force, mobilized as standard set in Trump plan. Third withdrawal, security buffer zone. Again, I'll post the link to this in the chat so you can pull it up on your own. Oops. Jesse thinks Hamas will be forced to say yes once all nations sign. And I do want to point out here that, as I mentioned, the plan says, number 4, within 72 hours of Israel publicly accepting this agreement, all hostages alive and deceased will be returned. All of them. Which I can't imagine Hamas agreeing to. And then after that, Israel releases a couple thousand prisoners and Gazans. Also, after all the hostages are released, Hamas members who commit to peaceful coexistence and to decommission their weapons will be given amnesty. Basically, Israel will say, we're not going to punish you. Members of Hamas who wish to leave Gaza will be provided safe passages to receiving countries. Then they talk about aid being sent into the Gaza Strip. Gaza will be governed under the temporary transitional governance of a technocratic, specialists, apolitical Palestinian committee responsible for delivering the day-to-day running of public services and municipalities for the people in Gaza. This committee will be made up of qualified Palestinians and international experts with oversight and supervision by a new international transitional body, the Board of Peace, which will be headed and chaired by President Donald J. Trump, with other members and heads of state to be involved, including former Prime Minister Tony Blair. Now look, this is something that didn't Netanyahu say today that, as he has said before, I think he repeated this in the press conference though, didn't Netanyahu said he didn't want to work with the Palestinian Authority? Because this proposal says this body will set the framework and handle the funding for the redevelopment of Gaza until such time as the Palestinian Authority has completed its reform program as outlined in various proposals, blah, 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 and can securely and effectively take back control of Gaza. So on one hand, Israel says it agrees with the proposal. But Netanyahu has said that, and I think he said it today, that he doesn't want the Palestinian Authority involved. The proposal wants the Palestinian Authority involved. The proposal says that the Palestinian Authority, once reformed, will eventually take back control of Gaza. A Trump economic development plan. A Trump economic development plan to rebuild and energize Gaza will be created by convening a panel of experts who have helped birth some of the thriving modern miracle cities in the Middle East. Many thoughtful investment proposals and exciting development ideas have been crafted by well-meaning international groups and will be considered to synthesize the security and governance frameworks to attract and facilitate these investments that will create jobs, opportunity, and hope for future Gaza. No one will be forced to leave Gaza, the proposal says, and those who wish to leave will be free to do so and free to return. We will encourage people to stay and offer them the opportunity to build a better Gaza. This part says Hamas and other factions agreed to not have any role in the governance of Gaza directly, indirectly, or in any form. All military, terror, and offensive infrastructure, including tunnels and weapon production facilities, will be destroyed and not rebuilt. Anyways, I'm just showing you some of this to get the general idea of what the proposal is. Israel will not occupy or annex Gaza. They say Israel will start withdrawing as this international stabilization force establishes control. I mean, I could see Hamas saying, well, we're not going to give you the hostages back while Israel's still occupying Gaza. That could be a point of contention. All right, anyways, I'll take a few more comments. Daniel Salisbury said, why would Hamas agree to this? I've told you that I can't imagine that Hamas is going to give back all the hostages in 72 hours in exchange for these promises. Firo thinks Hamas will not agree to this. I will post again the link to this so you can read it for yourself. Let me take a few more comments from you guys. Duchess Terra Albaria Arner says lots of ways it could go. Possumi says lots of us here will not be living anymore to see the finished city rebuilt. Jane Joel thinks Hamas doesn't have the cards right now. Melissa Terry says it sounds like it has some Hamas requests. Well, one thing I noticed is it does say that no one will be forced to leave Gaza. We will encourage people to stay. That's very different than the White House had been suggesting, in my memory, some months ago. I mean, it does call for more aid in Gaza. Taurish thinks it's the only way out. Thanks to Sven Shaper for the gift memberships. Jonathan thinks that when this document says the Palestinian Authority, once reformed, will take control, Jonathan thinks that means once reformed means it replaced entirely, game over. Thanks, Jonathan. Thanks to Eric Link. Eric Link thinks Israel was showing their allegiance to Trump very strongly throughout. Trump has to follow the agreements because of pressure from home and abroad. Peace through strength otherwise. Rana, our viewer, thinks it was a scam propaganda conference. Oh, hey, I want to show you again that pretty striking moment at the end where President Trump suddenly announced, basically to a room full of press that was waiting to ask questions, that they were not going to be taking questions at the press conference. So let me pull that up for you, because that was quite interesting. Take this off, I think. Well, let me just leave this on. Hold on. Here is the... Why can't I hear it? Why can't I hear it? Do I have it muted? No. Let's see. What is happening here? Why can't I hear that? Can you hear this? No, there's no sound. Why is there no sound? It's not muted. It's not muted. Should be working. Is this working? For some weird reason. Oh, I got it. I figured it out. I figured it out.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Okay. Here's this is earlier.
May God bless Israel, peace.
Okay, here is the moment. This was a little while ago. This is the end of the press conference, and this is where Netanyahu just spoke, is finishing up, and President Trump already spoke, and the room full of journalists is thinking, okay, now finally we get to ask our questions at this press conference. Here's the moment right here.
Thank you very much, baby. So I think while we wait for these documents to be signed and get everybody in line, I think it maybe is not really appropriate to take questions. I'm meeting with, as you know, a couple of Democrats in a little while about the country, about keeping our country open. They're going to have to do some things because their ideas are not very good ones. They're very bad for our country. So we'll see how that works out. But this is something that was really historic today. This was something that was amazing. I think, Bibi, I mean, depending on you, I think while we're waiting for signatures and waiting for approvals from a lot of different countries that are involved in this, we probably shouldn't take questions? Or would you like to take a question or two from perhaps a friendly Israeli reporter, if there's such a thing?
That's a very, very tough proposition. But I would think, Mr. President, that I would go by your instinct that this is, we'll have enough time for questions. Let's settle the issue first, I think.
Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
So again, that is how the press conference ended. The press conference, the main purpose of which is to take questions. That's how it ended. No questions. It was odd. Normally you don't see that. That was interesting. But if you missed the press conference, which is if you missed the speeches by Trump and Netanyahu, you can rewind and watch that. I don't know why that happened. Okay. Let's see here. And again, no, Hamas's official response is that they have not gotten the proposal officially. But at the same time, a Hamas official in Al Jazeera said that what was said in the press conference leans toward the Israeli perspective. Oh, I just saw, is there an official Hamas statement on this? Let me just check. I think Hamas might have released a statement. Hold on. Hold on. Thanks to Paul G. Thank you, Paul. According to hold on. Khan News says that that Al Jazeera is reporting that Hamas representatives promised the mediators to responsibly examine Trump's plan. N12 News says that Israel is awaiting Hamas's response. And here's a headline, for example, about what happened from the Washington Post right here. Netanyahu agrees to Trump plan for Gaza deal, but Hamas still a question. Prime Minister Netanyahu agreed today to a deal to end the war in Gaza, proposed by President Trump. But the step toward peace still requires agreement by Hamas. The Israeli leader said he supported the plan, but he hedged with details that could make it difficult for Arab nations to sign on, pledging to maintain an Israeli security presence inside Gaza for the foreseeable future. Even if Hamas said yes, there are all these details that would need to be worked out, where things could just collapse on the details. The Post says that Trump has renewed efforts in recent weeks to reach a peace deal. Oh, this is interesting. The plan was originally 21 points. That's what I thought. But one of the demands was an Israeli apology to Qatar. That happened today. Okay. The Post says Egypt has not responded to the Trump administration's proposal. Alex BZ thinks it's a joke of a deal. Nina Drew thinks Trump was tired of speaking. Thanks to Kukalo. Oh, for being a new member, thanks to Chris RD44, who gifted a membership. Thank you. All right. Calvin says, great negotiations. I hope it all works out. Well, guys, I think we have done what we came here to do today. We came to cover the press conference. We covered it. I'm sorry you didn't get to see questions and answers asked, which is what we thought was going to happen. But that did not happen today. But you did get to hear. Oh, Trey Yingst reported that Qatar and Egyptian officials, Trey's with Fox, Qatar and Egyptian officials have just shared President Trump's plan with Hamas negotiators. By the way, I'm sure the Hamas negotiators had seen the plan online, and I'm guessing that they had a pretty decent idea of what was going to be in it anyway. A Hamas official tells AP, by the way, that Hamas is reviewing the plan in good faith. That is from Meg Kinnard. So we'll have to see what Hamas says. We will have to see what Hamas says. Here, look, I'll show you right here. Look at this from AP. Trump plan to end Israel-Hamas war has been presented to Hamas, which is reviewing it in good faith, official tells AP. They're reviewing it. Alex says Hamas should have seen the plan before the press conference. I don't know how much they knew about it. Maybe they knew a lot about it. All right, guys, at this point, oh, hold on a second. Thanks to Chug. I appreciate it, Chug. Chug thinks Trump was saying it was Netanyahu's idea to not have questions with the Israeli reporter comment. He gave him a chance, but I don't know that Netanyahu wanted to do something that Trump didn't want to do. Chug thinks that Bibi was off guard in that moment. I don't think that Netanyahu didn't seem to be expecting that. Thanks, Nina Drew, by the way. All right, guys, look, we have covered this press conference. If there's big news later today, we'll come back on the air. I really appreciate it, you being here for this live stream. We'll see what Hamas says about this proposal. I guess in my headline, I could say Netanyahu, Israel says it agrees to Trump Hamas, no Hamas response yet. Even though we're ending the stream in a minute, I just figure we'll make the headline descriptive of what we're talking, of the big thing. Channeling Gary thinks it's nothing more than DJT taking over the area. Thank you, Channeling Gary, and thank you also to Sevenfold. I really appreciate it. Hey, if there's big news later today, we'll come on the air. I really appreciate you guys being here. A lot of you have been sending me your comments and letting me read your comments on the air, so I appreciate that. And again, if there's big news, I will come on the air later. By the way, our viewer Moose's Backyard thinks it doesn't sound like a peace deal proposal, but a surrender offer. And Moose's Backyard, our viewer, thinks it will give Israel everything it wants for a reduced military, economic, and political cost. That's what our viewer Moose's Backyard said. Also, Lori Jean Kajartinson wrote in and said, Tony Blair is pro-Israel. So she seems to think that the proposal is more pro-Israel. She said Palestinians have a voice and a right to use it. Thanks for writing in. Sorry, I missed those before. Oh, Missile Hatch News thinks Hamas does not have any other option than to agree and comply. That's what Missile Hatch News thinks. Murph says, did you hear that Hamas has lost contact with 3 hostages and is now looking for them? I hadn't heard that. That was, I know Times of Israel said a day ago, Hamas said it claimed it had lost contact with 2 hostages during Israeli operations in a pair of Gaza City neighborhoods. I don't know if they're saying that as a way to tell Israel you shouldn't be in Gaza City. I don't know. So that was a claim that Hamas made recently. Thanks for mentioning that, Murph. I might even have that statement for you. Hold on. I'd like to pull it up here, even though we're about to wrap up. That would have been yesterday, right? Let's see. Yes. So the statement was Hamas announced that it had lost contact with 2 prisoners, 2 hostages, as a result of the brutal military operations and violent targeting by Israel in 2 Gaza City neighborhoods. That's what Hamas said. So again, have they really lost contact with these hostages? I don't know. They're saying that they lost contact with the 2 hostages as a result of what they say is the brutal Israeli military operations and violent targeting. Our viewer Avia says, I don't see this peace plan going through. Wouldn't it be wonderful to attain peace somehow? Oh, feel better, Avia. Avia has COVID right now. Feel better. Sorry, I missed a couple of comments before, so I wanted to just mention them, because I had read a bunch of comments from other people. Okay. All right, we're really wrapping it up. We're wrapping it up now. I will come on later if there's big news. Hey, subscribe, follow the channel, Agenda Free TV. We cover all kinds of live breaking news without an agenda here. Agenda Free TV. Thanks, by the way, to Jeffrey Hofer for your support on Patreon. Thanks, Jeffrey. But again, subscribe and follow if you'd like. Also, I would suggest turn on our notifications. I can't tell you in advance when big news is going to happen, but if you sign up for our free notifications, you'll get sent a message whenever we go live, so you don't miss any breaking news coverage. The notifications are free. You only have to sign up once. We do it through Discord. The mods will post a link to the free notifications. You can also find that link in the description of this video on YouTube and Facebook. Sign up to those, I would suggest. Hold on a second here. Also, thanks to, appreciate everybody tuning in. Thanks so much, and thanks for letting me read your comments on the air. Thanks to our moderators for being here. You guys are awesome. They are the ones who allow us to have chat rooms, our moderators, keeping things civil and respectful in there, even though people have different opinions, which is great. Great that we can have these chat rooms with people sharing their views, but keeping it respectful. Beth Mythical, Ruth Krafasi, thanks for moderating over on YouTube. Really appreciate it. And all of our other YouTube mods. On Twitch, Idaho Star, Matthew Kohai, 3 Papa Bear, thanks for modding there. And all the other Twitch mods. On Facebook, Kay Lowry Body, Paul Anderson, Margaret Riley, Shannon Davis Hughes. Big thanks, Linda Belk, Larry, and Misha on X, thank you. And all of our moderators. Hey, thanks to everybody who donated. That is so nice of you guys. That is how the channel exists, is your support. It's a viewer-supported channel. So really, thank you for letting the channel exist with your support. Hopefully I got everybody today, and thanked everybody who donated. I hope I did. I think I did. If I missed you, I'm really sorry. Oh, I didn't thank Yavanna over there on Twitch and Who Shot JR. If you ever want to donate, you can go to agendafree.tv, agendafree.tv. But thank you so much for your support of the channel. Hey, I will post updates during the day on my X account, which is @Lookner. You can follow me there for breaking news, @Lookner. And another good way to find out when we're live is, if you're on X, is to follow Agenda Free TV on X. I always post there when we go live. I post updates about the channel there, Agenda Free TV, @Agenda Free TV. Also, we do have a Discord chat where you can chat with other viewers when we're not on the air. That is free. Check out the free Discord chat. It's the same link as the link to the free notifications. Same link. Check it out. And thanks so much to our Discord mods for all you do as well. Hey, for those watching on YouTube, I would suggest make sure the YouTube notifications are on. The YouTube notifications can help you find out when we're on the air on YouTube, but it's a little tricky to turn them on. You got to subscribe to the channel. Then you got to click this bell. Subscribe to the channel, click the bell, and then choose all notifications. If you're already subscribed, make sure you have the notifications bell checked and you've clicked all notifications. Thanks so much to our Facebook subscribers who support the channel over there. People like Robert Rial II, Chuck Mosca, Helen Anderson, Sharon Klassen-Goslin, Margaret Riley, Kay Lowry Body, Shannon Davis Hughes, Lou Knight, and all of our other Facebook subscribers. Thanks so much for being subscribers over there. Our Twitch subscribers, thank you. Strong One, Wall Street, Shaggy, E-Biker, Ivana, I think it is. Let's see here. Grant74P, thank you. Matthew Kohai 3, Sarah, Jax, Haku, Cece, Drunk Can't Cook, The Gauss, and all of our other Twitch subscribers, thank you. Really appreciate it. And our YouTube members, like Sven Shaper. And thanks, Sven, for the gift membership. Thank you, Sven. Appreciate all the gift memberships. Taylor Hurley. Sverige, 1523, thanks for being a member. UV Lightning, Crypto King, Evelyn in Maine, LeGrant Jackson. Bella, Pat W. Val Cargo, Swanson, Crypto King, JD63, Stanley Davis, Pat W. I said Pat W. before, but thanks, Pat W. John Weinman, Leon, Music Muse, Brenda Triplett, Roddy Mom, Bluesy Girl, Wendy Lance, JD63, LeGrant Jackson, thanks for being members. Danny G, Confidence in God. Wickedest Witch, thank you, and thanks for your support yesterday. Wickedest Witch, Evelyn VAZ, John Flick, Babelicious, Cookaloo, Music Muse, Karen G, and all of our other YouTube members, thank you. And everybody else for watching. Hey, thanks, Batman, for being a member. Allsteroid, thanks for watching. Spongefish, thanks for watching. Francis Felter, Lunali Syria, Salvador Romero Molina. Still in Leather. Progressive Dub, Gina Pina, thanks for watching. All right, we are wrapping up this stream. Our viewer, Gulshanara Patel, thinks Netanyahu will get home and change his mind, probably. That's what Gulshanara thinks. Thanks for watching. Jamie Lingridge, thanks for watching. Paula Thompson, thanks for watching. Artist Caverlin. All right, that is it for now. You've been watching our live coverage of the Trump-Netanyahu press conference, in which they ended up not taking any questions. But if you missed the start of the press conference, in which Trump and Netanyahu spoke, you can rewind and see it. That's it for now. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you soon with more live breaking news coverage right here at Agenda Free TV.